DJ has a plan, and my plan is to distract from his plan as the stream goes. Actually, that's not really the plan. That's just what normally happens. And then he brings me back.
Every once in a while.
Just kidding.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. Hello. What's good, YouTubers, throners, and lovers of the game? What's up? It's Tuesday night, so it's time to head one more time back down the rabbit hole. We got a couple special guests coming with us this time around. We brought a couple best in the game. For once, let's bring her in. My very first time on the panel. One of the loveliest minds in the game. Welcome, Living My Rhapsody.
Oh, come on. Let me talk about me.
and Kevin's like, oh, he's talking about it. Really? I am the fucking loveliest here. I'm just kidding. You're all lovely. You're all my lovelies. It is so awesome to be here. No, it's my turn. He's being such a gentleman, and I'm going to try to be a lady, not. So thank you so much for having me. This is amazing. I feel like I already know you, and I feel like I already streamed with you, but apparently I have not. So awesome to be here. Thank you.
Oh, so awesome. That's a beautiful thing about this community, being on the panels, being in the chats. You get to know each other. It's almost like you've been friends for oh so long. And speaking of somebody like that, I've only known this cat for just a little while, but it seems like I've known him forever. He's like my long lost brother. Welcome to the panel, the one and only. His name's Kev. What's good, buddy?
Yo, dude, that's a good point. Because you came on my stream. Who was with us? Was it Fandom and Mill? Was that one?
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun stream, man. And so you came on, we're doing the Google chat thing prior to the stream. And I totally forgot to even say hey, man, I felt like we were boys already. You know what I mean? So just going. Yeah, of course. Oh, by the way, my rollerblades arrive tomorrow. Today I bought a backpack. So I'm bringing down Shannon says it's going to rain down at Con of Thrones. But now I've got a rollerblade backpack where, you can shove it into the sides of the back. Man, I'm going hardcore.
That's awesome. He's like, I don't just tip my toe into anything. I jump in head first, exactly. All the way in, just like we're about to do in that stream tonight. And you already know the one who's with me week in, week out. You got to know him, the beard of somewhat knowledge. What's good, Snafu?
The beard of meandering ideas. That's what mine is. Can't keep anything straight. I can't remember stuff that I said a week ago, a theory that I came up with, and DJ's here to kind of delineate me along a trail, and I thank him for that. I've never streamed with Kev before, but so it'd be nice.
I haven't streamed with you. I feel like I've streamed with you before because I've watched so many of your two streams.
And I did not know the lunacy that I would get him into when I said that the magma from the dragon glass was blue. I did not know what I was doing there. So yeah,
I've been so hardcore on this, dude, because everyone has to go look at Hard Home. Like, people are like, oh, that looks the same color. It's not the same color. If you freeze a frame, there's green freaking dragon glass there. And so I was like, they've got to do something with this. So I was hell bent on that damn healing theory. And then you pointed out that blue dragon glass. I got so much hate. Everyone's like, yo, you're such an idiot. It's black dragon glass, but when they heat it up, they needed to show that it's heated up, so they made it blue. Turns out they were right. But I remember as they were telling me that, I'm like, joke's on you.
Was anybody ever proven right, though, about anything in this? Wasn't pretty much everything left open for debate?
I think a lot of stuff was proven. Like, you got Miri Mazdoor's prophecy about when the mountains blow in the wind like leaves. The mountain blew in the wind like a leaf. That was on point. Do you know what I'm talking about or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. He did, but then the baby didn't, I guess that's kind of that was close to when she met her love again in the afterlife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, was it same? No, next episode.
Yep. Speaking of the last episode, I saw the main character that they gave us. His name was Andy, and that was about the highlight of that extras reel. What did you think about that, LMR? Did you watch the extras reel?
I did. The big question is, can you hear me? Oh, no.
Yeah, we can hear you. I can hear you.
No, DJ can't. She dropped out and came back in.
The signal. Oh, God. The signal.
That's all right. I'll ask the questions, and she'll have to give the old peace sign when she's done answering if we're
okay.
going. It happens. That's okay. We made it. But did you get a chance to see that the extras reel?
I did see it. And
was there
again,
anything of interest of you, or was it just kind of like 2 hours? This is just not really filling the hole in my soul of what Game of Thrones has left me.
So for me, it was more of kind of a background story on people over there, not just the actors, but the people supporting the actors and extras. And we saw how much they had to give, how much dedication and how much sacrifice not just the actors had to give, but the people who were working on it. So it did give me a lot. It was not what I expected, but it was still really, really powerful for me.
She's done.
Yep.
I made it like
I got the peace signs always works awesome.
Oh, he can't hear any of us, right? Is that true?
Yeah, I
No,
can
he-
hear
he
everybody.
except LMR.
because she dropped out. Yeah.
DJ has
Yeah.
to be the last one in. Anybody that comes in after DJ, he won't be able to hear him.
If you can let if you can let him know
We'll be
that
giving him heads up
that
then, yeah.
if you can let him know what
As
we
long as
did.
when she gives a thumbs up like that, I can see right on. So we
Okay.
can just go on to the next one.
Guys,
We've
can
actually
you-
done this. It's going to work out. But what about you, Kev? Did you get anything out of that extras reel after that?
I keep forgetting to watch it. You just reminded me. I'm totally gonna forget because we're gonna talk for an hour or whatever. And yeah, I'm not gonna remember. Someone's got to like email me and tell me to watch this thing.
I don't know.
Was it
Andy,
good?
was
Was it
worth
fun?
watching? I mean, the main character's name was Andy, but like just the musical score kind of irritated me. I liked
What
it.
are
It had
you
some
talking
cool
about? The
stuff,
main
but the
character's
music
name
in
was
it was
Andy. What are you talking about? You're talking about the Game of Thrones like post. Like
yeah,
weekend.
the main extra that they kind of show, he kind of walked you through a lot of it and kind of let you know. He's kind of like one of the main extras. He's been in it for a long time. He does like bus tours and all that. And he's like a big long red beard and his name is actually Andy. So I thought that was like the coolest part for me. But yeah,
I
like
didn't even make it that far.
Yeah, the music was the music kind of drove me nuts in it. But I mean it was
What
cool.
was wrong with the music?
It was just awful. Like the Pyrazine, it was just they had some song about magic and yeah, it was like the extras part was cool, but yeah, the music was just killing me. Like when they were out burning the pyres and yeah, it was like some old folk music. It was weird. It drove me nuts.
Yo, what's up, Phoenix Rising 357?
Oh,
I made it like 2 minutes into that thing and I was like, boring, and shut it off. And then started watching Chernobyl.
Chernobyl.
Oh, that is oh my god, that's amazing. Yeah.
See, this is what I'm talking about, getting us off topic.
There's like, we'll help that for another stream. What's up? We got Andrew Grimm. We got Shannon Thompson. I see you out there. Got Holly King. There's a new one. Welcome, welcome. I know it's rough out there without the Game of Thrones holding it down for us. But yeah, everybody that was in that Andy's little Survivor game, I've already sent out a couple of gifts. If you were in there, we'll talk about that at the end of the stream. I just need your mailing info, and we will get your prizes out to you since there was about 10 of you that made it.
Dude, I would never give you my mailing address.
What's up, JD? What's that?
I would never give you my mailing address.
Oh god.
I know, right? Look out.
Do not trust him.
The DJ's coming. The Giants are coming to a town near you. What's up, Bill Gladeus? I see you out there. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Peter Griffin, Phoenix Rising, Erica G, Chrissia Oldstones. What's up? Welcome, welcome. Glad everybody can make it. My man, brother from another mother. We've got JD out there holding it down. So I had a question. Living my Rhapsody, who is holding down Castle Rock right now? What's going on out there?
Castle Rock. Oh my god. Well, a lot of ghosts, no food. Maybe some of the Unsullied stayed there. I have no clue. Maybe some of them decided to go not to North and die by butterflies, but you know, they said, hey, we got it. How about we stay over there? I wonder who's gonna take it, seriously.
I think it's Tyrion's, right? Right, like it would be Tyrion's. He's the hand of the king, but I mean, like Tywin had Casterly Rock when he was hand, so I think it's still Tyrion's. He's just not there running it. He's got, yeah.
But do you think he would want it? Do you think he would want it still? Like after all the stuff that he went through?
Hell yeah, he want it. What are you talking about? Yeah. Yeah, just like Jaime told Bronn, you don't want that castle. He's like, bullshit. Yeah, I want that castle. And like Tyrion would want to rub that in his dad's face too. Like, you know, I was gonna say like maybe Tyrion has some bastard there running it, but then I thought like, how come it never? He's been with so many women. How come like none of them had bastards? But I imagine like if you in this world, if you were a prostitute and you did it with a lord, you don't take moon tea unless that lord's an imp, because you don't want to have an imp kid, right? So maybe that's some cruelty to the world.
Maybe he's good at it.
Cruelty. I don't know. I was just this big long thing went in my head. I figured I would say it to everybody. See the insanity that goes on in there.
Absolutely. You never know. Whatever happened. How did Edmure get out of there? I mean, what happened to Edmure? Edmure was basically their hostage. What happened after the Unsullied took them out, Kev? Like, how did Edmure just escape? They just let him go? What happened with that situation?
I didn't hear your question. I just started thinking about Edmure's wife. I guess this is why people call me a not a masochist, a misogynist. But come on, she's beautiful. Now I can't get her out of my head.
Oh, absolutely. So how did he get back to her?
So where was he last in the show? At the show, he was at not the Twins.
He was at the
River
Twins.
Run.
Jamie
No, he was at River Run.
Castle Rock.
No, but he was at River Run, and then Jamie took over River Run. But did they leave him at the River Run, or did they take him to?
He took him to Castle Rock to live his life out as a hostage.
Even in the show?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking he was held hostage at River Run. Oh, I wonder who's out there, because it's weird. Like, Kevin died, and you don't have many Lannisters in the show. Like, there are, there's other Lannisters. It was in the books. They kind of just left that hanging. Like, even when Grey Worm attacked, who was there? Like, there was no one that left, or no Lannister. So I guess, I don't know. Maybe there's a cousin Lannister off screen or something.
What's up, Erica G? We got Shannon Thompson, L. Linda R. What made it? Welcome. I see your Mother Krakens. Welcome.
What was the Lannister who's the Castellan out there in the books? Is it Stefan or something? Right? Let me say.
I don't remember that.
Yep. I think so. I
Is
think
it
you're
Stefan
right.
Lannister or something like that? A very small character. He pops up in a Feast for Crows, Jamie 5, 6, and 7. They mention him in one of those.
That is very specific. I was just going with
I have a master file. Like, it's like 20. I think it's over 3,000 pages now of quotes. So I could almost tell you what happened in every chapter of the series, because I think of specific quotes, and then I've pasted them to videos so many times I can picture a Feast for Crows, Jamie 6.
Yeah, but in the show it wouldn't really matter, because he would have died. The Castellan would have basically gotten killed by the Unsullied, so he wouldn't really mattered.
I mean, the Unsullied took it over. I don't know if they necessarily killed every single person there. Then again, with the way that the Unsullied were in season 8,
there was somebody there, actually.
I mean, chances are there weren't too many Lannisters left when they took over. So
they only left the not important ones.
We'll get more into it. But LMR, what happened? Were you getting any feels after the way John got killed, stabbed by all his brothers and loved ones? And then basically John had to kill Dany and stabbed her. And basically that was her last loved one. She had no one left. I mean, Jorah was gone. Missandei was gone. I mean, other than Grey Worm, who was basically just a warrior, she had no one left. So, I mean, what did you think about that parallel about basically the people who they thought loved him being the ones who killed him?
Yeah, that was a tragic one for me, especially because Dany, and I saw it somewhere, somebody somewhere pointed it out in general terms, like everybody who's a Stark, let's say, got in a way what they wanted, whereas Dany, the person who sacrificed a lot, she lost everything. She lost all the people who really cared about her, all the people who she cared about. She lost her brother, she lost her husband, she lost her child, she lost her best friend, she lost everybody, she lost the throne, everything. She kept losing everything, and she just wanted to change the world. And it was so tragic that John, I guess another love of her life, had to be the one who will put the end to her. And he apparently loved her but loved people more, so he sacrificed one of his loves for the other love, meaning the people. So she was in a way betrayed by love for love. It was so tragic. I felt so bad, but she was lost, and he saw that it's the only way out of it, the only way to save people. And I saw the pain in his eyes, and it was just horrible. It was just so much pain. He didn't do it lightly. He was crushed, and he was just reaching out for anything that could maybe make him not do it, but there was nothing in her eyes, nothing in her words that would make him stop. And the pain was real. The pain was real.
She's finally done talking.
Yeah.
What? You're being mean again. You're being mean.
You know I love you. I'm just kidding.
I know. And you're not sir. I called you Mister, so you're.
Wait, real quick before you chime in, I just want to say I misspoke. The name I was looking for was not Stefan Lannister. It's Stafford Lannister. But that's also
doesn't
wrong.
make any difference. I don't know it.
So Stafford Lannister died at the Battle of Whispering Wood, and Rickard Karstark killed him, put a lance through him. It's Stafford's son, Davin, who's Warden of the West right now in the books. Sorry.
Yes, you're very bookish. No, it's awesome. It's awesome stuff. I love hearing it.
But my point is, but going back to our last question, like there are a lot of other Lannisters in the book, so it's kind of weird with the show because they didn't expand the family that much. Kevin Lannister was a cool character, but they didn't give us too many Lannisters. It's weird.
But they almost did answer what would have happened to those Lannisters by the way what Grey Worm did do.
No, I guess you're right. But it didn't click. At the time, I would have thought Grey Worm would have just, killed who he needed to kill and then everyone else taking them hostage. But in hindsight, Grey Worm probably killed every single person in that castle because those are probably his instructions back then.
Or maybe he didn't because they hadn't snipped his woman's head off, so he didn't quite have that rage inside.
Yeah, you're right.
But wasn't he used to it? Wasn't he used? And I know.
Sorry, Andy, hear me. Go ahead.
Maybe he's so used to it. So used to killing. It was nothing for him because we don't even know how much killing he's done before that. He may be used to killing children, women, and whoever.
Yeah, I got it. Maybe, but I thought that John killing Danny was like Old Yeller. Like, that's how it felt to me. Do you remember? Well, I mean, most people remember Old Yeller that they have to kill the dog in the end, but it's really the dog saves the boy, but catches rabies from saving him before, thus like turning him into a monster that needs to be killed because he's dangerous. Right? So Danny's the same way. If she wouldn't have went up to the north, right, she wouldn't have went crazy like she did because she felt so slighted by everybody that she went up to save everybody and she didn't get any recognition for it. Everybody else was getting the credit, and that like created this brain illness really, and that's what made her do all this crazy shit. So she got her rabies, and then John, the one that she went to save, he has to put her down. I felt it was just like Old Yeller, but
oh my God.
Yeah,
Old Yeller made me cry like so many times in like the 80s and 90s. That movie was, how was that a kid's movie? That was so sad.
Yeah.
Terrible. What's up, Kev? Who does Bran have to protect him these days? Like, he's the king without an army. Like, if anybody wants to crash on him, who's there? Who's left to protect this kid?
My man can warg humans. He's all he needs. Like, you come attack him, he'll warg you. Be like, no, thank you. He'll make you pull down your own pants in front of him. As long as he sees you coming, my man's covered. Because he's a powerful freaking warg, and he's but he's got Davos. he's got Sir Podrick Payne to guard him.
Yeah, he's got Davos and he's got Payne and he's got a real big woman, and that's about that. I mean, he's got Bronn, I guess, but Bronn said his war days are over.
Dude,
he's got 2 killing days left.
So I've listened. I watched the final scene of episode 2 a lot. Like a lot, I do. It's just awesome. I love Daniel Portman singing that stuff. It's just a beautiful scene. And I rewatched episode 3 like 2 or 3 nights ago. My God, it is so good. It's just crazy, total madness. I know some people are like, 1 episode, blah blah blah. But I mean, they've done the Battle at the Wall 1 episode, the Battle of the Blackwater 1 episode, Battle of the Bastion, like, and even if it was just 1 episode, it was like an 80-minute episode. It was like a Lord of the Rings. It was half the movie's a battle or whatever. God, that episode, I rewatched it. It was so much fun. I was a little messed up.
Oh, Andy, what do you think about that? What happens if somebody decides to crash down on Bran? What's he going to do to save himself? Can he really just warg everybody, or is he just basically done that fast?
Hold on.
We're going to throw that one over to LMR. We got a cutie in the house. Oh, no, she's there. Never mind.
Yeah, she's just saying goodnight to me. Bran, I don't know. He can see everything. It's not like you can sneak up on him now. I don't know. I think he's pretty safe. Like, knowledge is the most important thing, right? And he doesn't have someone like Varys to tell him to filter information, and Varys can manipulate things by giving certain information and getting what he wants. Bran doesn't have that. And really the information, all the powerful characters we've seen, that is the thing they have above everybody else, information. So I don't think he really needs protection like most of the kings did. But I also think that he can't warg everybody. He could only warg Hodor because he has always been able to warg Hodor because he broke him in the past before he was born, right?
Oh, okay.
That's the only reason that he can warg Hodor in the show. He can't just warg everybody.
Great point.
Wow. I don't know if I'm buying either one of their stories. What about you, LMR? I mean, this is a time of people of greed, and everybody wants to be king, and everybody wants to have power. One of these kingdoms, sooner or later, it seems to me like Dany would have been a much better ruler because she actually has an army to control it, and she would have been like Aegon. She came in, she saw everybody warring, she could crush them down, bring them all together, and then rule them all, and actually have the army to govern it. I mean, what do you think about all that?
Well, as far as Bran being the ruler, in a way, he kind of is the best. Although I didn't expect it, and I'm not too excited. I'm not too thrilled about it. I see the reason for it, I guess. He knows everything. He can, and if he doesn't, he can find out. So, being a good ruler, that's his superpower. I mean, he has superpowers, and being a ruler, that's the best way to use them. You know everything. You know what people did, possibly what they're gonna do. There's still a question if he can see the future. I think he kind of can because of the visions that we've seen. So there's no way people can lie to him. So as long as he's a good person, and he doesn't seem evil, he's fine. But he would rule without emotion, which may be a good thing to some people. I guess if I were to choose from somebody else than Bran, I would say either Sansa or Jon. Sansa because she's passionate about it, and she's more of a, I would say, she's not my favorite character, but she would be a good ruler for many reasons. But Jon, he doesn't want it, but I think I don't want it again. Oh my god, flashbacks. He doesn't want it, but I think he would be good at it. In general, he would be just. As far as Bran, he's very impartial. So I guess that's the best they can do for now. But he has no need for anybody else in a way, just delegating things. So yeah.
What's up, Kev? There must always be a Stark in Winterfell, but it doesn't really seem like there's any Starks in Winterfell. What's going on with all that?
Well, first off, what are you talking about? Sansa Stark in Winterfell. Secondly, the queen of mods is in the house. Chrissy of Oldstones, yeah, she's not blue. What an insult.
Oh.
You gotta make Chrissy blue. Chrissy is queen mod. So hey, Chrissy.
Queen mod.
So when you say no Stark in Winterfell, because you think of Sansa as a Tully, not a Stark, is that what I'm?
No, I think of Sansa being down in the not so great council down in Winterfell right now, trying to judge all this. There is no Stark in Winterfell.
Oh, so. I don't think there's anything magical in terms of like Stark in Winterfell. I don't buy any of that kind of stuff. My interpretation of Stark in Winterfell, it goes back to, again, like, even though they didn't give the identity of the Night King, I truly believe that Bael the Bard story is important. I think that all the Starks went to war. Because, there's an only girl. There's a father and a girl, no brothers. You'd have to imagine, like, what happened to her brothers? The dude's going to keep having sex until he has sons, right? That's just how they rolled. She has no brothers. So my guess is that all of them, they all went out to war and they all died. And so that's when the phrase, there must always be a Stark in Winterfell, started, because they're like, damn, like, maybe we should leave a male home so that they don't all die in war. Otherwise, you have the problem of then the Stark name being carried on to a girl, which I don't think is a problem, but I think they think it's a problem. So yeah, so that's my interpretation. I don't think it's magical. I think it literally relates to just carrying on the name.
You agree with that, Andy?
Yeah, somewhat. And you're talking about like the Stark at Winterfell. There's no like logical sense to last names. Like Catelyn is Catelyn Stark, but Cersei is Cersei Lannister. Yeah. Like, why? Like there's no rhyme or reason to who is taking last names and who is not.
There's kind of, because like Cersei, if you go back to, I think it's Arya's first chapter, like towards the end of it, 2/3 of the way through it, Jon and Arya are up on the balcony. They're looking down at Joffrey sparring with Robb Stark, and And Arya points out, she's like, how come Joffrey's sigil has the lion and the stag? And like Cersei was so lion that she changed their sigil. It wasn't just a stag, it was lion and stag, and she kept her name. So I think that's like Cersei stands out compared to other people. What about like but Gemma Lannister did the same thing, I think.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's a few that keep their last names. I think
you're
there's
right.
a Frey one that keeps her last name. Like, there's a few that keep their last name, and I thought maybe they just get the choice.
So there's nothing magical, and it really doesn't matter. It's just another saying that they say out there in Westeros. There must always be a Stark in Winterfell. Because it seemed like there was so much meaning and power to that when they said it.
What about what's her name? God dang, Rhaegar's wife.
Elia Martell?
Lyanna?
Yeah, Elia Martell. She's Elia Martell, not Elia Targaryen.
That's a good one. Nice.
Well, she's Elia, but I mean, I'm sure she was Elia Targaryen when she got married. But
she's always listed as Elia Martell. I bet she wanted to change it to Targaryen, but Rhaegar's like, no, I don't even love you. No, I'm just kidding.
Throwing salt and shade. No way.
You're not getting the Targaryen name. I'm saving that for the real love. No, that like you said, that's another one. She there's nowhere mentioned Elia Targaryen. It never says that.
No, just as his wife.
Yeah.
LMR, they said Ned said that the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. Doesn't it seem like all the Starks are kind of heading in separate directions? So that's not really much of a wolf pack, is it?
Well, they are in a. Before I go there, I'm gonna mention the whole Stark thing at Winterfell. I always thought that there is always a Stark because there are dead Starks over there. So there's always a Stark over there unless they dig up all the dead bodies and get them out. So there's always a Stark. But as far as the wolves or the wolf pack is concerned, I think they went different directions, but they had they worked together and they feel connected. So you don't always have to be in close proximity as long as you are on the same page in a way. So it's not a bad thing that they're going different ways, because I mean they are a pack. They are in tune and in a way on the same page. So there's no discord between them. They are. And there's a huge
Wait.
can you hear that? Can you hear that?
I have reverb. Who's speaking?
Yeah, reverb. And I'm done. For DJ who can't hear me right now, but I'm done.
Oh, he's doing it so that he can listen to
maybe yeah. But I'm good. I'm just pointing, saying that I'm done. I'm good.
Gotcha.
I'm hearing reverb. Who's got speakers on? Who's doing that?
That might have been mine when I was going back. Yeah, I was listening to the playback to like hear like half of the first half of what she was saying. Absolutely.
Oh, that stinks. You can't hear her. Oh.
So, Kev, can we be any more mad at Jamie for going back to Cersei than we would at Junkie for relapsing?
Great question, considering he's not my favorite character, my favorite Serene, but I say he's my favorite nowadays because he's my favorite point of view character. I love him even more for that. And it's weird because at first I was like, what are you doing, Jamie? Come on, bro. And especially like even the dying in the arms thing. Personally, I think I was like, he already had a figurative death in the arms of Brienne at Harrenhal when he fell into her arm. So I was really confused about him going back to Cersei. But now I absolutely love it because it's like, sure, what I would want from Jamie is to completely move on and be with Brienne. Like I saw that coming from a mile away. There's a lot of hints in the books. But the fact that he like it was laid up with the Tyrion looking at him. Actually, there's two things. There's Jamie at the tree, and Jamie's like, I'm not that man anymore to Bran about pushing. And Bran's like, no, you still are that man. You would protect the people you love. Like, that is who you were. It wasn't like, you didn't do it because you were a bad guy. You did it because you wanted to protect people you love. And then the second thing is then when Tyrion looked at him on the stairs, and Tyrion's like, you loved her even though you knew who she was. Like, he's like, I didn't know who she was. Tyrion's like, no, you loved her despite who she was. And that's kind of like at the core of his character. Like, I think you can love two people. I think he began to love Brienne, but I mean, it's not just that he loves Cersei. He's been with her his whole life. He literally was born with her. I think like she was grabbing on his toe when she came out or something. Like, that's a very interesting, deep relationship. And it makes sense that he never gave up that love, no matter how evil she became. And I kind of find that beautiful. And it's in a sick way. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, if you love Adolf Hitler, like I'd probably judge you. And that is kind of what's happening. Like, Cersei's evil, yet he still loves her. But since it's not real, since it's fantasy, I can actually see some beauty in it. I'm like, it makes me like him even more that he can have unconditional love for her.
Nice. You agree with all that, LMR? And then we'll go to Andy.
I just heard. Do you agree with that? And I wasn't paying attention to Kev. I'm just kidding. I never listened to you. I never listened now. Oh, I heard something about. Wait. Who we were talking about? You said which characters we're talking about? You said endless unconditional love, but for who?
He said, like, how did you feel about Jamie going back to Cersei?
Oh, that part. Yeah, I mean, it was okay. That's a whole okay. Let DJ know that I'm gonna be on like for more than 30.
Can you hear her now? I see you type 6. Can you hear her?
Oh, no, I just.
Oh, I thought he could.
Okay,
damn it.
So yeah, it's a blessing, Kev. You should know that.
No,
he can hear me. I know. So for me, Jamie and Cersei, and then the whole thing with Brienne. Okay, again, I don't know if somebody said it or if I heard it or read it somewhere, but I agree with apparently with what I'm gonna say, since this is I don't know where I heard. Anyway, Jamie tried. He thought he loved Brienne, and he did, and I know he did. He doesn't. You don't have to love one person. I don't believe in that. You are able to love more people than one person. So I think he did love Brienne, but he loved her on a different level. Different attachment was assigned to her. But he was obsessed with his sister. So I think he wanted to go to try it, and he felt he's gonna make it, but he realized that no, it's not him. Basically, kind of like Arya, this is not me. So I think going into the relationship with Brienne, I think he was true to it at the moment. He wasn't faking it or anything, but I think he realized, no, it's Cersei. So you just because you think that things are right and you should do them, like John, just because things are right, you don't do them. You basically go with your heart. John went the other way. He wanted to keep his love alive, but he decided to kill her. Whereas basically Jamie knew that it's wrong, but it felt right to him, and he decided to follow his heart, not the logic and what is right for other people. So it sucked, but I wasn't shocked completely by it. He loved her all his life. This is, I guess, the only woman he loved truly. He was faithful to her until he met Brienne, and he fell in love with Brienne. I was rooting for, like you said, Kev, those sapphire babies. I wanted that. I wanted it so bad, but I guess it wasn't him. It wasn't meant to be, and I felt really, really bad for everybody in that situation. Everybody's heart was broken. And I'm done, DJ.
I got it. I think that I don't like that he went back for her, because I think his love for her, like, so their love is kind of like this toxic thing where it's they're not actually in love with each other. They're both in love with themselves at the beginning, and the other person is the opposite sex representation of themselves, right? They see themselves, and that's why they're together, and that's that love. They just don't realize it at the moment. That's why Cersei's really she can sleep with Lancel and stuff, because it's still a Lannister. It's still kind of a representation of her, whereas like Jamie's he's growing, and that's the whole problem. His arrogance kind of it's less sharp, I guess. It's not like he's not arrogant still, but he has some humbleness to us, and to him, and it's not just. And he realizes everything's not about him, and that the world isn't the way he saw it, and that he's not so important in this world. And basically, he grows as a character and he can grow away from her, because he loses some of his pride. And that pride, I think, is what pushed their relationship together. From my perspective, it's just a manifestation of their love for themselves is why they're with each other. So I like that he was growing away from that. And even so that he ends up with, in the book, if it was book Brienne, like one of the ugliest people in the Seven Kingdoms. So that shows how far he's come from who he was. And so for him to go back to that, it just doesn't make as much sense to me. And that's a little bit of my own, what I read into it more than what actually happened.
Right. What's up? We got Terry T in the chat. What's up? Good to see you. We got Sly the Tension Bank. We got Karen Ritchie. Welcome. welcome. Got Jake Cruz hit the house. It's been forever, buddy. Good to see you out there. Jenny of Cold Stones, so glad you're here. Eric Singletary, welcome. Erica G, so many new names out there. Welcome, welcome. Glad you guys are all here. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in there, and we'll definitely try to get to them. Hey, Kat.
I'm not sure, but did you call him Sly the Tenjin Bank?
Slide the Benjamin Tank?
No, Sly the Tenjin Bank. I think you might be wrong.
I probably did. I probably did. Going through it, that would not surprise me. But since we got him talking, Kev, we always praise Tywin for being so ruthless and doing whatever it took, like AKA Reigns of Castamere, and like what he would have done at Battle of the Bells if it was him. So isn't that exactly what Dany did? She said, let it be fear, and then she showed everybody exactly what happens to all that oppose her. So like we saw John Con, when he didn't do what Tywin did, he ended up losing that battle because reinforcements came in. And they said if that was Tywin, he would have burned the whole damn city and Robert would have died right then and there. So isn't that basically Dany just being a great ruler and doing what needed to be done?
I think your parallel that you're drawing is very accurate in terms of them ruling by fear, or that attempting to rule by fear. Stannis has the same thing. In Davos's first chapter, he basically says, like, I want Melisandre because she scares people, and people who are like scared are already like half broken. Where I'll differ from you is that you started this off by saying that we all praise Tywin for blah, blah, blah. Tywin, I absolutely love the character, and I absolutely love the actor. He was awesome. I can't stand Tywin, and I look down on him so much. I think he's the biggest coward in the entire story. For me, to show strength is to fight wars and then let people live. Because, they're still alive, their kids are still alive, and to try to make amends, that's what a real man or a real woman would do, is to try to move forward together at the risk of your own life or your children's life. It may not be the smartest move, but I think it's the bravest and the most noble move. I think Tywin, yes, it's effective, and who knows, if I was back in the day and I'm thinking about my family, maybe I'd kill them all too. However, I don't think that's right, though. I think he's a huge coward. I think if I would have done that, then I'm a huge coward. Like him barring men, women, and children in a cave and then drowning them, that's a huge cowardly move. Burning down a whole city, which is what they said he would have done, is a huge cowardly move. And what Dany did was a huge cowardly move. And it's again, I don't know if I would have been any better than them, because it's effective. It's effective in the short term. It can come back and haunt you. I mean, it's all gray. Everything in this, that's why the story is so beautiful. No matter which decision you make, it's gray. There's pros and cons to everything. It's such a complex story.
Absolutely. What do you think about that, LMR? I mean, were you one of the ones that would have been like Tywin and just burned them all to make sure you got the job done? Or do you think there's a middle ground somewhere in there?
So it was basically asking if Dany, or did I hear Tywin? Maybe I'm just mishearing names, but like for Dany to burn them, I was sure she's going for the Red Keep. Let's just say this way. I was sure. And I don't know if you can hear that noise. My dog is snoring like yeah, I'm not gonna use words here. Anyway, so Dany burning everybody there. It was too much, I think. Way too much. She should not have burned them. They did not deserve it, just because they were in a way sheep, maybe not worthy of her mercy. Although she called it mercy, she called it saving them. It was terrible. It was but I knew in a way. I wasn't surprised. I didn't want it, John line, but I was not completely surprised after it happened. Like it made sense. They were putting those things in our minds. She kept saying, I'm gonna turn your cities to blah 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 and like burn everybody and all that stuff. So she kept saying it before. It wasn't right though. But again, she wanted to show there was no love for her. She didn't see love, so the only way to get people to follow her, but I kept wondering what people, she burned everybody, was to burn them. So that was out of, like, I think she was going, there was no logic in her mind. She was just lost without anybody to trust. She didn't trust anybody. She lost everybody she loved. So she just basically went with her Targaryen instinct, and the coin landed, and it landed not in the best place for the people who died. A visual sign that I'm done.
I got it. Okay. I think I'm with Kev here. I've been saying this for the longest time in this community, where everybody like praises Tywin. I'm like, why? This is like, I'm going to go on a little analogy here. I play a game called Rust, right? And there's different levels of weapons in Rust, right? If I go into chat and I say, hey, does anybody want to have a bow fight? And we both come with bows, and then I get there and I go to shoot him with the bow, and he pulls out a shotgun and kills him. That is not the agreed upon thing, and you are a slimy jerk for doing that. Like, that doesn't make you good or smart. It's that we agreed upon this thing, and that's how this world works. Like, there's an agreed upon battle, how you deal with battles, right? And how war goes. But Tywin constantly, over and over again, goes around that. He sneakily does it, and he gets other people to take the blame for it, like Walder Frey. Like, and this whole time he's doing it. It's like guerrilla warfare when like everybody's lining up to shoot like head to head. That's how war used to be done, like battles straight in front of each other. And then all of a sudden Tywin's there, and he just has everybody on the sides shooting them from the sides, and then he's praised for it. And no, like I hate Tywin. I think it's the worst. Like, he's not the best. And then he tries to tell Tyrion, well, would you rather have like a few people die at a wedding or thousands of people die on the battlefield? That's just an excuse, which shows that he truly does care. Like, that's why he's slimy, and that he cares that people actually know or think that he's doing it for a noble reason, because he sends the Mountain out to just rape and pillage. Like, that's his dog. So he doesn't care about people like, oh, we're only going to kill a few. He cares about winning, and that's his legacy, is that he won. He doesn't care how he won. Like, he's got the cheater's mentality. So
he's got the winner's mentality.
Well, if you think cheating's winning, did he win? I feel like I like on the throne right now. So he didn't win. I think all his kids except one are dead, and it's the one he hated, tried to get rid of. So he lost. His legacy is Tyrion, with the one he hated most. Of everything, his legacy is Tyrion.
Well, his legacy was lost anyway, because none of those kids were his. I mean, he was feral.
So he dies a failure, and that's his... I think that's his punishment for violating guest rights, like, or helping with the violation of guest rights, is because his whole thing was about his legacy, and he doesn't do it, and he doesn't get a good legacy. Right?
I don't know if I could say that Tywin lost, and I mean, what's this about not having a great legacy? He died being the most powerful, richest, and most famous man in the world. How is that not winning?
He died while taking a poop.
That's the logistics of it. But
I think they even mentioned that in the book. Like, it doesn't matter anything that he done, because people are just going to remember that he died on the toilet. Like, that's what they're going to remember. I think somebody says that at his funeral or something.
It's at the it's at the Tyrion's chapter, I think, where it's like, and at the end of the day, and at the end, Tywin Lannister did not, in fact, shit gold.
Right. Yeah. And that's what they know, but not everybody's going to know exactly how they died. Not everybody's going to know. Hardly anybody knew that he was actually broke. I mean, as far as legacy goes, I think he did exactly what he wanted to do. Yeah, there's going to be some snickers in King's Landing, and there's going to be some jokes, but I mean, in essence,
he hated being laughed at. That's terrible.
It wasn't even about him necessarily. He was about, like, he wasn't living in the day, kind of like Stannis. Like, you know, when Renly tells Stannis, like, dude, taste the freaking peach. Tywin was always about the future. He just wanted, like, he wanted a family legacy that lasts 1,000 years. And, you know, there will be maybe a Lannister family through Tyrion, but at the end of the day, that's not Tywin's legacy anymore. The family's living on through someone who killed him. You know what I mean? That's not really Tywin's legacy now. That's Tyrion's legacy going forward.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Just like, you know, and so all that just to say, yeah, Danny's way was shit. Like, that was a shit way to do it, and that was the whole point of that. Like, let's not praise Tywin and say, well, Danny did it, because I'm gonna freaking shit on him, and then I'm gonna shit on Danny too for doing it. Freaking crazy. She's crazy.
Oh, it's so funny. I've never been around so many Tywin haters. Usually people have such respect for him, but we got the whole panel just there is no love for the big T man.
I mean, I say this, but I'll say this again. I absolutely love him as a character and his and the performance, the actor's performance. I love the character. I just don't respect him at all. He's a scumbag.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He played it well and did it well. LMR Davos said we need to find a better way. Grey Worm did not disagree. He said we don't want payment, we want justice. How much more diplomatic can a guy be? Was Grey Worm really bad to do what he did, or was he just doing what he knew and doing it to the best of his ability?
I think there was more than that. But like I said, I think I mentioned it before with Grey Worm, we don't know that much about him personally. We know before we basically see him being bought and freed, he might have killed countless innocent people already. He might have killed children, women, and men who were, let's just say, civilians, not soldiers. So we see him at the moment of the time he's being bought, and after that only good, in a way, good death or just death comes from him whenever there's freeing of somebody. So when we see him doing crazy stuff, and I call it crazy because that's just crazy. I mean, those were what do you call them, prisoners of war, and I don't know much about that, but once somebody surrenders, you don't execute them like that. I don't think that you should do that. So but he is trained to follow orders. I don't think he would disobey Dany at all in whatever she said. And if there were any doubt in his mind, that doubt would be gone, or is gone at that moment, because he is suffering from huge loss, the biggest probably loss of his entire life. He became a person after he met Dany and Missandei. So losing Missandei, he's not himself anymore. So in a way, I don't think he feels guilt, and he is not out. And somebody mentioned this in the chat here. I don't think he's out of character. This is what he does. This is what he's been doing all this time. It feels awful because, like I said, we don't see him doing that stuff before. We just know that he's a warrior who'll do anything. And Dany told him something, and he did it without question, it looks like. And he was enjoying himself. It felt bad seeing him do that. But he was trained for it. This is what he is, or who he is, and he was just being whoever he was trained to be. It's just sad that we have to see it in this situation, that Dany actually calls upon it, because it's in him, but she actually calls it out.
I think he's
He's
like a victim of the trap. Like sometimes people fall into the trap, like a revenge trap thing, and where they place a vengeance on people that didn't actually do the thing that you're mad at, like the Hatfields and the McCoys, right? Like,
greatest miniseries ever.
They're going against each other. Really, it's just because they're family. Like, you did this thing to someone that I care about, and now I'm going to do something. Yeah, it wasn't you that did it, but it was your family, and now you're responsible for it. And that's why he was so willing to do it. It's because Missandei was innocent in this whole thing. She's not a warrior. So for her to get killed, he's like, okay, well, that's the rules we're going to play by. So now I'm just going to kill the people after they surrendered. Like, we're not following rules because Missandei got killed and she wasn't even a soldier. So I can kill these soldiers that surrendered. And, Dany was already, she said to, but maybe Grey Worm doesn't do it if that didn't happen before, right? Like, he doesn't have that vengeance in his heart. And I think that's like a trap that people fall into.
Yeah, could have been. What's up, Kev? Did the showrunners miss out on a huge opportunity not bringing a white Hodor into it?
Hodor.
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 That was my response. It's weird. Like, I had this 105 question contest going into the show, which I was supposed to give the results of every week. I just never did it. I still haven't done the final results. I'm trying to figure them out. But that was one of the questions, and I kind of knew he wasn't going to show up. But I said yes anyway, strictly on principle, because I believe in the multiverse. I'm like, I want it so bad that I've got to say yes, or else it's not going to happen. So I said yes, even though I didn't expect it. But miss out on opportunity. I mean, personally, I know some of you guys, I've listened to streams, and so you guys have issues with some of the stuff. I absolutely love the entire season, so it didn't affect me in not having him. But yeah, that would have been it would have been, because, I mean, then people would have complained like, oh, like, because he would have had to line up with someone who he would have had to line up in front of Bran or something like that, and then have someone like Arya kill him or Jon kill him. It would have had to been something like that, or like a wolf kill him. But and then people would have been like, oh, look, how convenient. There's like 100,000 whites and Hodor's the one that gets to Bran. But it would have been pretty gnarly if we got to see that. Yeah, or like, you know what? When they first had that trailer with Arya running through the halls, my first instinct was Nymeria, like a white Nymeria. Imagine that, like a white Nymeria running through the halls. That'd be badass. But then I was like, wow, imagine if it was Hodor. That would have been cool. Hodor like chasing down Arya with like some big weapon.
So you think Summer's dead? I mean, you think Nymeria is dead?
No, it actually shocked me that we didn't get to see her again. You know what? Actually, wow. That not seeing her during the War for the Dawn should have been a blatant clue that Arya was going to sail west of West. Yeah, because Nymeria never came back. I assumed, you know how book spoilers, like Nymeria's trailing Arya. Before Arya even realizes she's a ward, Nymeria's got her back. She's following her around the Riverlands. I thought that was going to happen in the show. I thought Arya said goodbye to her. I thought Nymeria was going to follow her north to like, because if you think about it, we saw Arya down the Riverlands, and then we see her arrive at Winterfell. That's a long freaking journey by yourself. There's outlaws and stuff everywhere. I thought Nymeria was going to show up. I didn't think we'd see any of that off-screen stuff, that journey, but I thought Nymeria would have shown up, and then we can infer that Nymeria protected her on the way north. But damn, that didn't happen.
It didn't go down like that.
Yeah.
LMR, what was your biggest bummer of the character that you didn't see? Like, who didn't you see in season 8 that you were hoping to see? Like maybe.
For a second, is DJ muted for everybody else? He just
he's asking, who would you have liked to see that you didn't?
Yeah,
they didn't have.
Thank you. Thanks, Kev. So for me, it would be, I was really hoping to see Jaqen for some reason. I don't know why, maybe, or if not Jaqen, I wanted to see some more face changing. So maybe not a character that did not show up, but the skill that did not show up. I really wanted Arya to use some of her face changing skills for something important. So I was okay with characters not showing up. Hodor would have been only in that first episode in a way as a white. So I actually was missing out on Arya's skills that were not completely used. Like she could have used them just, to show what she can do with it, and that she still knows it, and that I missed that part.
I think the person, I'm with you. I said it before on a previous one, where I think Jaqen's the one who I missed. I wish I saw the most, but I'm wondering, like, as far as Hodor goes, I always thought that, like, if we weren't going to see him, it's because the Night King is scared to use him. Because he can't warg him when that connection already exists with Bran, right? So maybe he could, but then that's like Bran's touch on the Night King, right? So it's like a flip. So he doesn't want that. So I thought that was the case, like that either he couldn't or that the Night King was scared. But or not necessarily scared, but he was aware that it would create that connection that he didn't want to create. He wanted that one-way pathway with the touching of Bran. So I wasn't too disappointed with that, but yeah, Jaqen's the person I want to see. Good, so good.
LMR, why did Melisandre come back? I mean, was it really just to light those swords? I mean, was it just to give Arya a pep talk? Like, why did Melisandre have to come back and die in Westeros?
That was a big, and I'm still trying to decode it. Why? Because in a way, yes, she did make this awesome, show of fire. But it basically lasted 2 minutes before it went out. But I'm thinking maybe there is something more in it. Maybe when she actually lit those things, Eric's, I think the RX they're called, whatever. Maybe when she lit them up, it gave people like a boost of energy or something. But again, it kind of went downhill from there. But it's I think it's showing that there is a little bit more. Maybe she showed a little bit of magic. Maybe more people needed to see it to have confidence in something else, but also have fear, and fear can motivate people to fight harder. So I'm like really stretching it right now, thinking like, why would she be there besides, just saying hi to Arya and telling Arya, like triggering Arya to say, for her to realize that she's going to be the one who will close those blue eyes. So even if she was there for that one scene or for that one moment to tell Arya to basically, yeah, you're here, what do we say to the god of death, and something about those eyes, that's good enough of a reason for me, because she was the one with the vision. Nobody else had that vision. And like Arya knew that Mel is powerful, so maybe hearing it from somebody who has magic, who can see the future, that yes, you can close those eyes, you are powerful enough, maybe that's going to give you a boost of energy to actually go and do it. If John said, hey Arya, you can do it, and she'll be like, yeah, sure, dude, yeah, I can kill the Night King, yeah, bye, I'm out of here. But if Mel said it, somebody who is powerful, maybe that spoke more to Arya. Maybe.
She's done. Was that even Melisandre though? I thought that was the waif. No.
No. What do you mean waif? Oh, was it Arya or was it waif? Are you being silly right now?
That was a bad joke.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Can you hear me, DJ?
Oh, what do you think? So, whatever happened to the Illyrio thing? What's going on with Illyrio, Kev? Like, that just got dropped out of thin? Is he just out there plotting on other continents? Like, what's Illyrio up to these days?
I want to know if Illyrio actually is a big dude, like, because it says like he's huge, but then he's always just like sliding around, like he's like some like skinny guy. I feel like Illyrio might be glamored up in the books. Like he might look like that statue, or maybe that's just him when he was younger. But what's he up to in the show? It's weird because they dropped Quaithe too. I think this is there's some stuff that makes me not believe in this, but for a while I was pretty sold on Illyrio having actually been teamed up with the Red Faith a long time ago in terms of Dany. But there's stuff to go against that, because there is stuff that defeats that. But there seems like there's a lot of evidence. It's weird. There are clues that it's almost like he's working with Red Faith, even in her like first and second chapter. There's a lot of references to the Red Faith being in that city, and then they're at like the wedding and stuff. So in a way, like I'm still toying with this idea that he was part of, like they're prophesizing this Azor Ahai come again. He might be in on that. Like it might be why he gave her the dragon eggs, and so they dropped Quaithe, they dropped Illyrio. I think they just didn't expand on that stuff. I have no idea. To be honest, I don't even know what he's going to do in the books. I guess it's more because you got Phagon or whatever, or Aegon. Right. I don't know. I don't have a good answer. Sorry, bro.
No, that's a great answer. I like that. Like putting it all in there. What's going down in Marine right now, Andy? Now that they've probably heard of Dany's death, does Dario name himself king, or has he had enough of politics? Like, what's happening over in Marine these days?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be. I would technically. I mean, honestly, she's dead. There's nobody that can do anything about it. I'm taking over. So, man, I don't know. But the dragon went over to Essos. I think did anybody hear exactly where they said the dragon, or like Drogon was going?
Sorry,
can you hear?
Yeah. So DJ
nope,
cannot hear you or me now.
Pick it up when he was done.
Yeah.
Go, Elma.
Yeah, so you mentioned where Drogon went, right? So I have no clue where he went to, but I'm hoping he went somewhere where, like in my mind, she is somewhere being resurrected as we speak right now.
Sorry, Shannon was saying that earlier. I don't understand that at all. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, I
don't understand that at all. Though.
Yeah, somebody mentioned Lady Stoneheart. She was dead for a while, and then she was resurrected. So, and then it all they're all like messed up. So I see where somebody mentioned it somewhere, and I really like that.
Everyone's talking about it. I think it's a ridiculous concept, though.
Why? I wonder why. Like, why is it ridiculous? I mean, the thing is ended, so why would it be ridiculous?
People are like, Drogon wants to race her, so he's going to bring her to a Red Priest. You know where I stand in terms of. I don't think there is a Lord of Light. I don't think Melisandre raised Jon. I think Davos did. I think Thoros raised Beric by himself, just by giving up his own life fire. But so it's like, in terms of like Red Priest, I don't think they're special. You could bring Dany to anyone could technically race her, in my opinion. If they're like crazy enough and believe in this magical world, I think they could sacrifice their own life to raise her.
Can Drogon raise her?
But the real point, sorry, I'm drifting. Like, people are not going to agree with that at all, even though I feel like I'm right. But the thing is, like, Drogon, it's like, he didn't know about Beric and Thoros. And does Drogon even know about Jon and Melisandre? Like, does he know it through Dany? Like, how would Drogon know about any of this stuff?
Oh, I guess.
Why would he be like, oh, let me take her to a Red Priest? So you think it's a dragon?
So where do you think he took her? Where do you think he took her? What happened to her?
You don't think he's just flying her off to eat her somewhere? Or that's just like lunch in the cave when he's up there?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, he was going for a flight either to Dragonstone or Valyria. He's going to head somewhere back with his volcanic activity, and he figured he'd need like a snack on the way.
Oh my
exactly.
God.
That's just food for the flight, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
I mean, that's what it has to be. I figure. What else could it be?
I'm like, I'm out of here.
And that's what I was the same thing. The whole Quaithe thing was totally pointless. I thought when Quaithe was tattooing that guy and Jorah went to talk to her and he's like, I'm tattooing this man, giving him basically charms of tattoos so he's safe on his trip to Valyria. I was like, that has to be Euron, and this is going to be a big tie-in, and he sailed to a Shy, and he's got something special, and no, nothing.
So in terms of where, like, I know a lot of people want to think Valyria. That was my initial instinct, because you see him flying over water. However, Dragonstone's over water as well, right? I sort of lean towards Dragonstone, simply because there's a couple things in the story, like you've got Sunfire flying back there when Aegon the Second's there. I think it's Aegon the Second, Aegon the Third, Aegon the Second. Then you've got like you've got the whole weird thing with like Rhaenys going down Meraxes, and then Aegon the Conqueror flying over to Dragonstone for a little bit. Like, what was it? You know, there's just a lot of weird stuff about people returning to Dragonstone. That Daenerys Stormborn, was she born there? I know people think she may have been born in Dorne, but I don't know. I feel like they just went back to Dragonstone because that's sort of like, you know, yeah, they're from Valyria, but her family came over like 6 or 7 generations before her we're at Dragonstone. I feel like she went to Dragonstone. So
what do you think would be better for her to have? Like,
could be. You agree with that, LMR?
I could see Valyria, though. I'm not against that. I mean, it's open.
Like, for me, I was just wondering, like, since you can't hear me, but I guess everybody else can hear me, I wonder, like, what would be... Like, I like the idea, because you cannot burn her. Like, her body, I guess, would be burned by dragonfire, but, like, what do you do with her body? So maybe they thought that if he carries her away, that's a better choice. But I like, right now, as I'm thinking about it, I would love for Jon, basically, if he took her body to the throne and set her Tushy on that throne, even dead Tushy, pick her up, lay her on that throne, and just to have, I don't know, like, for her to actually be able to sit on it, well, in her death, but then Drogon to burn both of them. Basically, not just dropping her body, not eating her as a snack, Kev, but like giving her some burial in a way, like on the thing that she always wanted, meaning the throne. I don't know how they would do it, but I would love for Dany to basically burn, not, you know, as a as a thing for her body, not just bury her in dirt, leave her out or eat her, basically burn her on a place that she wanted to get to. Yeah.
Like, what like what Kevin was saying, I think that like Drogon is smarter than than they're given credit for. So maybe he does know stuff. We can't say that he doesn't know anything about magic, because why does he roast the Iron Throne, right, instead of Jon? So he has some form of intelligence. And if we assume that like dragon riders are some kind of warging of the dragons, and that's how they can control them, then it would be assumed that it would gain some of her knowledge, right? So yeah, I don't know. I think it's going west. I think it's going to like Valyria, or I mean east. West. Yeah, east. So it's going to Old Valyria, because that's kind of, it sounded like Volantis or Valyria. He was starting to say something about that when when he got interrupted. So I don't know where he's taking her, but maybe just ancestral home.
To back up where you're going, like your interpretation, Drogon seems to have gone there in the books because Tyrion saw something leathery flapping over him. It was north. It was on the River Royne, up by like the joining of the Telhoro or something like that. Not the Selhor. It was north of that. But Drogon may have come to Valyria and then gone up the River Royne when Tyrion was sailing down. And in the show, we blatantly saw Drogon at Valyria as they were sailing. That was weird though, because they sailed through Valyria, but then they had the Bridge of Sorrows was there. The Bridge of Sorrows is supposed to be up the river, I think. All right, but anyway, so Drogon seems to have like been attracted to Valyria in both the books and the show. So yeah, I take that back about Dragonstone. I think they went to Valyria. Yeah.
Well, I've got this on, and I was kind of thinking about seeing if I can drop out and drop back in.
Did you do it?
What's that?
Did you do it? Did it work?
No, I haven't done it yet. I'm just wondering, like, if I drop out, since I'm hosting on my laptop, I'm afraid it's just going to drop out everything because I don't think you can host from a phone. So I'm afraid it'll kill the stream if I try to do that.
It's got to be so frustrating for you not being able to hear her. I can deal with the reverb if that's how you need to roll.
Oh well, no, actually, his phone on. I think it's been working out all right. I think just
he's got his phone going.
Done with it after that.
He can actually use his.
We can just go on to the next one and be like, is there any chance? Go ahead, Kev. We'll let you go with this one, and then Andy next. Is there any chance that Doria and Zaros Daxo made it out alive, or have they eaten each other and that's game over for those?
Dude, what's so funny is that when you asked the question earlier about who would you want to see, my answer was going to be, I definitely deserve the title that some people give me. Was going to be not just Doria, but a naked Doria. That was my answer. Oh, it's funny you bring her up. Like, who speaks about Doria? No, I mean, they probably starved to death in there. That's a brutal death. But in my head canon, she's still alive and she has no clothes on.
And just holding it like that. And I'm sure in your head canon that Missandei still has a head too. So I mean, it all works out in the end.
And for the record, everyone out there, I'm specifically saying that stuff to set up the people who get on my case. So I purposely say these things to give them ammo to yell at me yeah.
I was actually just killing about that one, but Andy, for reals, we got why did Little T spend all that time talking to John into killing Danny, and then when John asked if he did the right thing, Little T says, "Ask me again in 10 years." I'd be like, "What?" But you said, I mean, what was that all about?
Yeah, it's just not sure. Like, that's the thing. The path to hell is paved with good intentions type situation. Like, yeah, it very well could be like the best thing for the realm or the best thing, but we don't know. Like, Tyrion, I mean, Bran could be just as terrible of a ruler. Just imagine if we had a robot overlord. Right? It doesn't have that emotional connection to things, which we see Bran doesn't have either. So I think it's just more of that. Let's see how things work out before we decide if it was the right decision or not.
A lot of people are mentioning the Drogon and Dany fused spirit, like the warging thing that you mentioned. And I'm totally on board that train. I don't think Drogon necessarily, but yeah, dragons are smarter. I don't think he necessarily burnt down the throne. I think it's funny, there's sharp things, swords. That's funny. Or that he's just smart. That's cool interpretation too. I like to go, and I don't think this is really possible. I like to think that Dany's so much inside Drogon now that's why she didn't kill Jon Snow. That's just the way in my head canon. It's probably not what they meant to tell us, but I just like that interpretation so much because it gives Dany a silver lining.
You don't think that Drogon knew? I was always under the impression that Drogon knew exactly what was going on. As soon as he came out under all that ash and snow and looked Jon right in his face, he knew what was up and he just got out of the way and yep, this has to happen. Because
the way I sort of see it as that was Dany letting Jon go by as opposed to Drogon. She just seems like she's a crazy powerful dragon rider. Unlike because she was only bonded to one, but she had two at her back all day, every day. I don't know. She was crazy in a good way.
wasn't it like?
But was she
in the
really
book-
crazy? I mean, did we
No,
even
crazy
get
in
a
a good
chance-
way. I'm saying like that's just my word. Like you're
Oh, yeah.
crazy, bro.
That's true. But LMR, I mean, we never even got to see Danny rule. I mean, how do we know that she wouldn't have been an amazing ruler? I mean, like she just came in. Yeah, she killed women and children, but sometimes civilians and casualties die in war. How do we know that she wouldn't have been an absolutely amazing ruler, kind of like her, Aegon was, the first Aegon?
Yeah, she might be okay after that, but in order to, um, I still don't see how she could bounce back from what she'd done. And it's not like she was done with it, because she wasn't done. She was just getting started. That was her first place that she had mercy on, that she freed. And at that moment, all her priorities, when that so-called coin landed, I think at that moment she lost, I guess, all the good, and by good I mean like even ability to listen to anybody else. If it's just you, then you're looking from the inside. You need somebody who can look at the stuff from the outside, and she lost everybody, and it didn't look to me at all like she would be able to trust anybody else. So a ruler who rules on their own without listening to anybody's counsel, that's not a good ruler, because people need different perspectives, and I don't think she would be not able to, or not willing even to listen to anybody else. So at this point, no, I don't see her as having potential to be a good ruler. Not at that moment. Before, yes, but not after she lost everybody, and she was ruling with only the Targaryen coin, basically, that landed on the bedside. Visual cue. I'm done.
There is no.
How about you, Andy? You agree with that?
Yeah, there's no coming back from that. Like, the thing is people can do bad things and then good things later. And like we see, like the whole story is about redemption and stuff. Of a lot of people, like Jamie, even though it didn't really work out in the end, but but there's a lot of redemption to be had. You can come back from almost anything. But think of like half the community still hates Jamie because he pushed a kid out the window. Like how there's no way those same people are going to be like, there's going to be an even bigger percentage of the community who thinks that they're like there's no coming back from what Danny did. Like it's just insane. She killed way too many kids and innocent people. You can't come back from that.
And they tried to humanize or give like connecting us to the lowborn and the kids with that scene with the mother and the daughter. But I just don't know. You make a great point. Like what Danny did was like whatever thousands of times worse than what Jamie did. However, we knew Bran and we loved him for like 45 minutes already by the time that happened. But you know what I mean? So I feel like there may be a disconnect with fans of not getting attached to 10,000 or whatever, 50,000 King's Landing children versus one Bran. It's almost like that one Bran is more important because he has a name.
Yeah,
but you're absolutely right. I stand with you.
I think they tried to counteract that by giving you the story with that mom, right?
Sure.
The mom saved Arya. Bran hadn't done shit before then, right? Like he climbed some walls, right? This person saved someone we love, and like they didn't have to. Arya was about to get trampled, and this lady just saved her out of nowhere. So you get like these people are innocent people. And then they put the added in there where she does the whole like dictator speech where she's like, yeah, we're going to go cleanse the world, that type thing. Like we're going to make everybody submit to our will essentially. And it's my way or the highway. So yeah, it would not have been good no matter what, because she was already psyched. She went crazy at it. She got pushed over the edge. So at that point, it's done. She has too much crazy in her, and where you start thinking like Melisandre, where setting people on fire is cleansing them, yeah, that's a problem. And now that's your mentality, so you can't come back.
Huh? We got a out here in the chat. Where did I just see it? It said somebody was talking about there's no, nobody's really evil. Everybody's gray.
I'm not sure where I saw that up here. But when we can we say that there's a couple of characters that actually are 100% evil? And is there an echo for anybody else or just me?
No echo for me.
Oh, perfect. I can handle it if nobody else can hear it. It's basically me talking like you guys would hear. That's awesome. But basically, they were saying there's no evil characters. I mean, what about the Ramsay Snows of it all, LMR? I mean, are there pure evil characters out there?
I think there are pure evil characters, just like we have in a real life. We have them here too. Let's not kid ourselves. There are people who are evil to the bone. Maybe they were not evil when they were 1, 2, 3, but when that character started forming, and it's not just how they were raised, even over there in Game of Thrones and Westeros or wherever they were raised, they started forming from the beginning. And people like Ramsay, I see him as complete evil, and Joffrey, he is young enough. I forgot how young he is in the books or even the show, but he is still developing. But I don't see any goodness in him. And when Cersei talks about him as a baby, obviously babies they don't have energy or muscle power to go do bad things. But I think Joffrey was evil. He was raised in the same household as other siblings, and it was basically not nurture, it was nature. That's how he was predisposition towards that. So yeah, there are evil people. Ramsay, maybe not even Bruce Bolton. He had more of those intentions, but he was able to channel them to basically coexist with other people. But like people like or the Mountain, even those people were not able to hide within the world over there. They were out there, they were evil, and they were blatantly evil. They did not hide it. They didn't want to hide it, channel it, or fix it.
I don't know the true definition of evil, but like people like Ramsay, he may have been like messed up by unknowingly being a warg or abducting the souls of animals that he was warging unknowingly. Someone like a Mountain may have had head injuries. He may have had like a disease. For me, the most evil person is Tywin because he does everything consciously. Yeah, Tywin's the most evil for me. I had a good point I was going to make, but I forgot it.
Yeah, because that was so crazy. You're like, what? What do you mean, Tywin?
No, I totally think Tywin. That is serious. I think Tywin's the most evil person in the story.
I don't disagree. I agree with it. Calculate. I think it's like you being like somebody being calculative, with intent. Like if they know it's bad, and they're still doing it, that's the same thing as not even realizing. Because Ramsay was just having fun. Joffrey thought he's right.
Oh, Joffrey. I remember now.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would just say that Tywin is ruthless, not evil. But yeah.
Man, I would not want to get on your bad side. You're totally team Tywin and okay with it. Things are gross. Wait, so real quick about Joffrey. In Joffrey's defense, one of his like a good side of him coming out is that like like most kids and adults like kittens. So they told him that this cat was pregnant and that there were kittens, that it had kittens inside of it, and he was so excited to see the little kittens that he cut open the mother and then showed his dad the kittens. So that was kind of cute.
Thank you so very much. Now I need a good sticker for that. Oh,
I think that my evil character is what's his name? the pirate guy. I'm sorry.
Solid or sand?
No.
Euron?
No, Euron. Jesus.
Oh my god. Yeah.
You guys got to remember when I say what's his name? Like I'm probably talking about like an obvious character. I'm just an idiot. I can't remember name.
Euron. Okay.
Yeah, like Euron. He's like truly evil. I think he is aware of the consequences of his actions, and it's all for his own personal gain. He enjoys like torturing people. That's evil to me. That stuff is evil to me. I don't know. Even the way he like talks about like not only did he like rape his brother, but he brings it up later and is like, hey, basically you remember when I used to rape you and you would cry because you wanted it or some shit like that. I forget exactly how it goes, but yeah, he's just like a crazy, psycho. It's insane.
Real quick in the chat, Jenny of Coldstone says, I think those Night's Watch guys who were raping Craster's women were pretty evil too. And I totally agree. What they did was very evil. In their defense, they were just broken. Like, these guys are at a wall, a lifetime sentence, and they had just survived because they had just come back from seeing an army of the dead. So they're like, I could almost excuse them for being a little crazy because they literally saw dead things attacking them and their buddies. To be fair, though, a lot of them were trying to kill like G.O.T moments before the White showed up. So yeah, they were pretty evil.
Yeah.
Rast and Carl Tanner, but even even like Small Paul. Oh, yeah,
Small Paul was not evil.
Well, he wasn't Small Paul though. Was part of that little gang that was going to kill G.O.T. I think he was just slow though, so they could have convinced him to join them, right? Wasn't he part of that gang? He was going to kill someone.
Small Paul just wanted a bird, man. Small Paul wanted a bird.
I'm pretty sure a Storm of Swords prologue, Small Paul's part of that gang, and then he ends up helping. Like moments later, he ends up carrying Sam. So he's like a good dude. But I think he was part of that team. I could be wrong.
Maybe. I don't know. I just remember him picking Sam up and then him dying for it. Freaking stupid Sam.
If you have any questions, just ask the chat. The chat always knows. Was Small Paul part of those rebellion?
Yes, Small Paul's part in Chet's conspiracy is to kill G.O.T. He was going to do it, but like the way it's described, like they're saying stuff to him, and then I think he was the one that's like, "Do I have to kill birds too?" I like.
He was kept asking about it because it's all slow. Still, that's just manipulating somebody that doesn't know any better.
Yeah, but the other guys in that group are pretty evil.
Yeah. LMR, when Tyrion and Dany were first talking, he said maybe you should try something, or she should try wanting something else. Do you think that this is the something else that he was basically trying to do, and then he conspired to kill her for it? Like,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're.
When they were very first talking in Marine, and she's like, she wants him to help him. That's when she basically says, "You're going to be my hand, or whatever. You're gonna help me."
Okay.
And he's like, "Well, maybe you should try wanting something else." And he's like, "If I want a jester, I'll get a proper fool or whatever." But he's like, "I'm not altogether joking. Like, maybe you should try wanting something else other than ruling Westeros." And it basically seems like that's exactly what she's doing. She wants to take it to a whole nother level. So basically, and then he ends up conspiring to kill her for it. So.
It was just a big. I mean, all of them I think had great intentions. In all of it, I think Tyrion truly wanted her to succeed. Even if he was messing up all that time, even like he himself was shocked at like how many stupid decisions could I have been making. Like he was shocked. I was shocked at his either not stupidity, maybe like not having luck with his decisions, or not being clear. Maybe he wasn't drinking enough. Maybe that was the issue, because he's so used to drinking. Maybe he needed that. And so in all of this, I don't think like he was set up. He was setting her up because he wanted to free his sister and not free his brother, and wanted to save his sister. But I think for her to try something else, I don't think she listened to him in that way. I don't think that was it at all. I think it's just a bunch of decisions made and not everything making sense. That's all. Not everything fell into the right place. Not just because you have a great plan, it basically is life. Life happens and things don't work out the way you need them. It was just another example of that.
I like that. Who was if Dany did end up ruling Andy, who was going to help her rule? Jorah was gone. I mean, who did she have left? I mean, she didn't like Tyrion. He was going to die. She was ready to die. Jon was basically obviously not on her side. It was her and Grey Worm. Who was going to run who was going to run King's Landing if Jon didn't kill her?
Well, in her eyes, her and Jon, her final words, which it's cool. It brings us back to a Brand 1. Game of Thrones Brand 1 and the second scene in the show, where basically you got to listen to their final words. And her final words were that they don't get a choice. But she assumed that Jon was on her side, and so her and Jon would be would have the say, and no one else.
Yeah.
So she didn't realize that Jon was on her side at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. But it also speaks to her mentality. Like, she's getting rid of all the sane people that would keep her in check, and that's like her fall into madness. Like, that just shows you, like, she wasn't thinking. All the people that she would have advising her were gone. Like, they weren't on her side anymore. All the people that do the smart thing. Remember, Grey Worm in Marine was like, hey, he didn't even understand that sometimes a deal where both sides lose is the best possible outcome, right? He didn't even get that, where he's like, no, we'll just kill him, not realizing that's not going to change anything, right? But Tyrion gave them the option to dig their own grave, right? Like, Tyrion obviously knew that was an option, that they were going to, they were going to attack, basically not do what they were supposed to. But he gave them, like, the rope to hang themselves with. So, but Grey Worm doesn't have that. So that just shows you where her mentality is at. That she's one of her closest advisors is now going to be a guy that just decides that we should go out and kill the people no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter if that's the smart thing to do.
You agree with that, LMR?
I do, but like, for me, all of this is like, I see it from, again, Dany's perspective on the inside, like how she's processing it. Like, there are pieces on this on this board, and they're moving on their own, and people are pushing them in one direction, the other. But I think when I think about this entire situation, I put myself in Dany's, basically on Dany's dragon, let's just say this way, and I see her as this girl with a dream, being completely lost in this foreign, and it should be her home too. Like, oh my god, that should be a place where she feels at home, and she feels completely not like at home. She's alone, and I think she's disappointed in it. Like, she was looking forward to be there, and I think her disappointment, and we don't see it in the show, I'm hoping for us to see it in the book when we actually read her chapter, her feelings about it. Like, this is my home, but it doesn't feel like home. Nothing about it is like home. I'm like, what do? I think she's lost. Not that she lost her mind in a moment, at least. Some speculate that it was a calculative move, but I just see all of it from her perspective, like from the inside out, and it's just a huge tragedy for me. And it doesn't matter to me, like, in a way, to me, like, in her shoes or in her dragon, who is doing what was said before. She's in the moment, and she just cannot handle it. That's just an overall feeling that I have from all this.
Yeah, absolutely. What's up, Typer? What do you feel about all this? What's going on? What would have happened in King's Landing?
I went first. I remember I was saying it was this. Dany thought Jon was on her side until her final words, and then found out, nope, he wasn't.
You got a title here. See, at least here you got a title. My channel, you still have no title. Darn it. You got a title of a typer. Go ahead, Andy.
I disagree with LMR a little bit. Like, she might feel like this should be her home, but it's definitely not her home. Like, that's what she should have got from this. Like, a sane person would have realized, oh, this isn't my home. My home was back in Essos. That was my home. Like Theon realized in the end, Ned was my dad all along, and I should have seen that. He, in the end, realized it, but Dany never did. So that just shows, like, her craziness. That dumbass Theon can come to that realization, and she cannot. But
I
maybe
think
that's power.
But I think that's exactly like we were saying. I agree with that too. But I think this is showing, and again, I love this for those reasons, because to us, looking at it from our perspective, it makes sense. She should, like, there are the pieces on the board for us, and we should say, oh, she should go that way because it makes sense. She should know better. Yeah, and some people do know better, and some people don't. And the amazing thing about it is that we see somebody like Dany who should know better in our perspective. And yeah, she definitely should know better, but she doesn't. And this is the real person, even like relating to people now, minus the dragon. I can see real people in the characters over there. So even though it was tragic and horrible, I actually do appreciate the fact that they kind of messed up her character, some people say, or messed some stuff up because it didn't make sense. Like, why would she go crazy like that? Because people do. Because real people do that here. They cannot handle it. Somebody say, snap out of it. How can you just not snap out of it? Because life. Because I'm a person and I'm not like you. So I actually so appreciate it. I think Kev is listening to some music. I'm calling him out on it.
Jenny's song.
Yeah. Oh, that's a beautiful song.
Kissing. Oh my God, I love them.
Multitasker.
So
Good.
Kev, oh, go ahead, Lemon.
No, I was done. I was saying, go ahead.
Jorah. Sorry.
So Kev, why in God's name didn't Yara and the Prince of Dorne just stay teamed up with Grey Worm and rule it all? Like, Grey Worm should have just red wedding that whole not so great council, in my opinion.
So
Like,
I don't think Grey Worm had any interest at that point. I think Grey Worm had just two desires: a to go to Noth, which is kind of silly because he's going to die. But before he did that, he wanted justice on Jon Snow. And yeah.
And doesn't that prove what a good and honest, just guy that Grey Worm is? The fact that he did that. I mean, he didn't kill Little T right away. He didn't kill Jon Snow right when he found out. Like, he put him in jail and waited for justice. So doesn't that alone say how good he is?
That's one interpretation, but you could also say that he was very outnumbered. He was going to get his ass kicked.
By who?
He had Jon Snow.
25 Northmen left?
There's a lot of other people. Again, like you mentioned, there's Dorne, there's Yara. There's a lot of other people that he didn't have on his side yet. So
I
it's
would
like,
say that they were more on his side than the North, though, wouldn't you?
No, I don't think they were on anyone's side. They were independent. Like he's not there thinking like he has no relationship with Yara. She had a relationship with Dany, but at that point, like Grey Worm didn't even know what a joke was.
Yeah, Grey Worm, he says, I've been a soldier all my life. You don't think I know what joke is? Of course he knew what a joke is. Just like I'm saying that when this all started, it was the Greyjoys were with Dorne and Dany and Tyrion. Like, they were all a team. So why wouldn't Yara and Dorne still just be a team with Grey Worm and rule it all? They own the city. This is Grey Worm City. So I don't understand why they're bowing down to Sansa and her little smart ass.
I mean, you have a lot of relationships where it's like people could be bound to like a father, but then the father dies. They're not necessarily bound to the son. You know, it's like people. So I don't think that Grey Worm assumed that they were on his side without having spoken to them. And Grey Worm doesn't have a maester. He's not sending out ravens or anything. You know what I mean? So I think he was just no. You could definitely say that he was honorable, and that's why he didn't kill Jon. I'd like to think that he used Jon as leverage.
I mean, Yara had maesters. The Prince of Dorne sure as hell had maesters. They could have teamed up and been like, hey, we're allies. We have triple the forces of the 25 Northmen left. Let's just go do this and we can rule it all. Why would they sit there and hand it back over to Bran?
I don't think that there was too much time that went by. Because like Jon had a bunch of facial hair, but how much facial hair did he have? You know what I mean? Compared to when he showed up. I've never done like the math or whatever. But
didn't Tyrion say it was weeks? I thought Tyrion was saying...
He gave you time for him?
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like, I remember Tyrion saying something about weeks. I had all these weeks to think about it. Anyway, go ahead.
So weeks. If you say weeks, it's like Grey Worm doesn't have a raven. He doesn't have a raven to send out. So his only way would have been to send a person. And these people are far away. You know,
right? But Yara does have ravens. Yara has ravens. The Prince of Dorne has ravens. They could have communicated.
Yeah. Then you're assuming that she proactively reached out to him. It's like we have no evidence of that happening, though.
Well, before bowing down to Bran in the North, I think that would have happened. I mean, they were already allies.
I think it's like Davos probably sent out ravens.
Why doesn't he have a maester? Like, maesters serve like the kingdom, that area. Shouldn't, once they found out, oh, like our maester died, now let's send someone there. Like, if they had time to get from Winterfell there, they had time for a maester to get there, right?
Right.
Well, we just didn't see the trip. It took them a long time to get down there from Winterfell. Whereas if only a couple weeks goes by, you have to get word to the Citadel, and then and the Citadel has to send someone up. It's going to take more than a couple weeks to get a maester.
I think it's the fact that King's Landing burned down and everybody died. That's the fastest thing that ever traveled through the Seven Kingdoms, aside from Euron Greyjoy. Like, the nothing is going to travel faster than that.
But it's still going to travel by foot, so it's like that takes a while.
You know, I was more surprised that I know Danny freed everybody, but wasn't there a lot of Dothrakis over there, and whoever kills the Khal gets, and somebody said it somewhere in some other streams, and I thought that it was interesting that they brought it up. Like, once you kill one Khal, doesn't the other Khal take over? So technically, maybe, but again, that's not Grey Worm. That's not how they roll.
There
Right,
were
and plus you
I
can look
said
at it the other side as Danny made them all blood riders, and once your
Yeah.
call dies as a blood rider, you're supposed to
Avenge
kill
them?
yourself. So
Kill
no, you're
yourself?
supposed to kill yourself.
Yeah,
Really?
blood riders
Basically,
die
all
with
those
the cow.
Dothraki should have just killed themselves. Is what should technically happen, but it's ridiculous. That's never going to happen.
I mean, it's a similar concept to like Kingsguard. The Kingsguard's like Renly's Kingsguard. The people like, you shouldn't. How can your king die and you're still alive? That kind of concept. So they have to travel to the Nightlands after that.
Interesting.
And then we got Sam Florida saying Yara wanted to be Queen of Iron Islands for seasons. Now she just forgot. And I agree. That's my whole point of this. She wanted to be queen. She's got the army. She's got the backup with Dorne. They're already allies. I don't understand how they're bowing down to the 25 Northmen and Sansa and Bran.
What army did Yara have? Yara had one boat of people. I thought.
She had enough to reclaim the Iron Islands. So she had something.
From nobody.
No, she just sailed there because Euron wasn't there.
Oh, she sailed there, but I don't think Euron didn't. I don't think Euron would just leave it empty. He had to have somebody holding it down for him. He didn't just leave.
I think you're overestimating. Like, too. Also, think
You're
about how the Sand Snakes and them took power in Dorne. They might not even have Dorne on their side. Like, the people of Dorne might be like, "Hey, they're dead. Excellent. Now I'm gonna make the deal." And I am not siding with them. Now, it would be smart to I would side with the Unsullied so that I could get what I could out of this power exchange, but that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes people don't necessarily like the usurpers that take over, so you have to consider that as well.
Jenny Coldstone says the truth is they got the last season and realized they couldn't fit it all in and dropped a lot of storylines and condensed to the point that none of it made sense anymore. Well, that's getting too truthful. What's the fun in talking about that, Jenny? That's just a little too head on the nail.
This is a perfect time for Kevin to come in and tell her why she's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say it. I think I'm one of the few. I not only think that it was good, I thought the writing was great. Yeah, there were some flaws. Yeah, I thought it was phenomenal. I absolutely loved it. Like the only episode I didn't love was the finale, but the second time I watched it, I'm like, holy crap! Like,
Danny forgot about the Ironborn. Just forgot.
What does that mean? I hear people say that. I think people just, people like get on these waves, inertia. Danny didn't. I know that like the director said, right? Is that what it was? The director said he forgot. Yeah, the directors also said that in like it was after episode 1, I think they said that Samuel Tarly's older brother, blah blah blah. And no, the whole reason Sam went to the wall is because Sam was the older brother. So he got forced out of his position. You can't take what they say in the after episodes as truth. They said Danny is
okay. How about what they did? How is Samwell a maester already? He hadn't even forged the chain yet, and he's the best that comes out. Like he gets the #1 maester spot in the whole Citadel.
Well, they didn't say he was Archmaester, did they?
He said he was Grand Maester. Yeah,
they said Grand Maester.
Samwell, yeah.
Huh. Well, he deserves it. I mean, he's the only dude. He's the only maester who was alive for the Walk of the Dawn. I mean, that says something.
He would have a lot of knowledge of magic and shit. Like he would have a lot of knowledge that they don't have at the current moment. But I mean, come on. Like imagine you're at your job and then like they hire this dude and then 2 weeks later, like, yeah, this is now your manager. You're like, what? He just graduated high school.
Well, that's a whole nother stream. That's not a tangent I'm even going to get off on right now. We'll have a whole nother stream about writing issues. Like go ahead.
What about you? I want to hear Bridges. How come Danny didn't see like you're on ships?
All right, so that bit, yeah, that's how this started. So here's the thing: people are like, yeah, she would have been smarter to fly up high and to always have her eyes out, but Euron surprised her at Dragonstone. It wasn't just like he showed up in the middle, so she was going there, and people were like Euron went to a good spot, and he was hiding behind the islands. It was just pretty smart. Imagine Danny after she just fought 100,000 dead people, like all these people. You got to step in there.
Yeah, she would be on alert.
No, but no, you have like, yes, that's one way to interpret it, but also like, I think I'd be halfway out of my mind for years to come after fighting an army of the dead. That was pretty crazy. She's on a dragon fighting a guy who's been alive like 8,000 years on a dragon. It's total madness. And she's got so much going on. Jorah just died. She's got like, and now she's trying to take back the kingdom. She's
blind.
I think there's just like, I cannot imagine being in her shoes, the kind of emotions that are going through her head. And now she's like coming down to Dragonstone. She sees her castle. Her dragons are like, woohoo, we're home. Like, it was a bad situation. She lost.
Are you kidding?
No way.
That thing came from like behind. Like, where do you hide an entire fleet?
Wasn't there? I
Wasn't
thought that there was like rocks.
Yeah.
I thought there were rocks somewhere in the middle. Was
Yeah.
it? I need to. It's like it's not just a dragon stone and then the empty sea. It was a dragon stone and bunch of like spiky. What do you call them?
But when you're that high in the air, there isn't a mountain high enough that's gonna hide ships. Like, I don't care. If
I think the moment remembering from where I saw it, like the moment she went over that rocky area, that's when he hit her. It was too late. When she saw them, boom, they were like, I think like there was no. Do you remember it differently?
It is, but there's no way. Like because we're thinking of it like when you're thinking of it, okay, like they spotted her and they were able to shoot her. When you're thinking of it like that, you are thinking as if it's the size of a person, right? It's the person that's seeing her, but that's not the case. It's like if I'm looking through my peephole at somebody and I think they can't see me, but all they really have to see is my house. They're on a boat with giant masts, and there's a whole bunch of them.
Okay.
So it's not as easy. And if they can see her, then she can see them and the masts as well. That's the big thing is if they can see her, she can definitely see their masts.
Not to mention, they were just talking about this in a war council. It's the only fleet that's on the ocean. It already killed half of her people, taking out her Dorne people. It's like, and she just spaced the situation. Like, oh yeah, there's boats out there that can hurt me.
We didn't see the whole trip down. She may have been the entire time scoping it out. She literally, it's like she's within a quarter mile of her place and she lost focus. Like that, she's home. You know what I mean? I just, it's hard for me to truly get in any of your shoes that have a problem with that. Like,
I agree with both sides where she should have technically been watching and being able to see the boat before she saw a person. When she sees a boat, then she can attack it before the person can actually shoot her. However, I see her as being completely, I would say, off guard and in a way like on a kind of a high. I just won a war. I'm invincible. I'm going home. Yay. And I'm happy. So blindness, like oftentimes, like when I go somewhere, I don't even see people. Like somebody stops and like, hey, I'm like, hey, here you are. And I say hi to them when I see them, when they say hi to me. So I am the type of person who is blind to people.
Right. And then I get you that. But to Andy's point, you're talking about seeing a person that you're just kind of in a daze walking through life and you didn't notice that person there. Yeah. Whereas Andy's point is you might not have noticed that person, but if you were getting ready to walk in front of a bus that was humming at you, you'd probably notice it. Or like
when we're texting,
helicopter was flying around. I mean, you'd probably notice a helicopter buzzing right in at you. I mean, these are huge, massive ships. So it's like,
she's also a tiny little girl on top of a dragon who's like 8 feet wide. Her personal vision is not as good as Drogon's vision.
Yeah,
it was funny how she was reaching side to see, and I remember like there were a couple shots when she was like looking down, or I don't even know what it was on Jon or she was looking at somebody, and she was imagine you're like this is a huge beast, like, but again ships are probably far away, and she was maybe on top of them, but whatever. But yeah, line of sight is not the best over there. She needs mirrors and that saddle and goggles.
I would agree. I do think that she wargs, so like if she can control them with her mind, she can receive some level of information from them. I think so. Maybe she should see. I would not have had a problem with it if they would have lined all the ships up directly on the shoreline next to that rock. I would have said perfect. They at least tried to make it like they were hiding, and she just flew past the perfect angle where they could actually get a shot off. That would have been awesome. I would have been like, yeah, I'm cool with it. Whatever. It's a big ship. and like she can't see because there is like complacency when you're like coming back from a mission and stuff. When you're almost home, like you're not really paying as close attention. Like I get that, but they were like kind of in this this little cut, and they were all in a formation. It wasn't like a single file formation. So that was like the big thing. I was trying to justify it too. And I just thought, well, if they would have just done this one thing and put it on next to the rock and they would all lined up, I'd have been perfectly okay with it.
So DJ, here's I'll compare it to a scene like the frozen lake scene. All of a sudden someone drops in and then there becomes a perfect circle around the island, right? That was completely unrealistic, but to present something on screen versus like, it's really easy to present something in a book. He can write out any kind of description of the land he wants, you know what I mean? And they have CG they could do, but to present things on screen sometimes is very difficult realistically. So something like you're on ships, it just like for me, I'm able to, I mean, there's freaking dragons in it. Like I'm able to look at it more just like as a piece of art as opposed to a realistic rendition of what's going down.
And I really try to do that too. Like when John was sitting
I like the visual of them being in formation. Yes, maybe it's not as realistic about her being able to like them to hide, but it's just like to me, it just comes across as really cool on screen. So,
but she's a conqueror. She's a warrior. She knows better than this. She takes over cities. This is what she does. And I mean, yeah, I can get over a lot of that stuff too. Like when John was sitting on his dragon and they couldn't light the pit, the whole thing that was around it. It's like, John, just have your dragon turn his head and spit some fire. The whole thing would have went up. Like, what's the problem here? Like, I get it. Yeah, I get the part for cinematography and what they had to do to keep it going. But stuff like that, the only reason that she has any disadvantage or any worries whatsoever in this war is because of the Iron Fleet. They are literally the only thorn in her side, and she just got like this, like a sneak surprise attack that she could have easily seen from the skies. That's just a step too far.
But she didn't.
There's just no way.
So what we're supposed to believe is that it wasn't easy for her to see it.
Right.
I know that doesn't.
I mean, it's just part of being in the air. Yeah,
all right, here's another example. If we go back to like Sansa saved the day at the Battle of the Bastards, but people get on Sansa's case for that meeting inside the room where they're like, she could have told Jon about.
Yeah, she sucks for that.
But like I feel like people are being way too critical of that scene. You have to look at it as art. First of all, there's a scene prior to that scene where they're outside where Jon totally blows her off and then walks away. And then he does the same thing inside that hut. And so, yes, it's like technically that's not real. Like he
didn't though in the hut. That's not true because he asked her, "What do you want me to do? What can I do? Where are these extra forces?" But that's not asked her.
Yes, but that's not all that they said within the hut. So yes, it's not a perfectly realistic scene in terms of her like not having an opportunity. But what they're blatantly trying to convey to us is that Jon was being prejudiced or sexist against her in 2 scenes. So that's how I interpret it. I don't care that it's
But what does that matter? Did Jon go looking to her to go save Winterfell? She's coming for him to help. She's asking him to put his life on the line. So if he has a certain way he's feeling about it, then deal with it. But
no. Jon like that. He wasn't asking him. Jon had a personal vendetta against Ramsay who threatened his life.
Jon said, "I am done with war. I'm tired of fighting." He didn't want any of this, and she had to talk him into it. Like, this is Winterfell, our home. Let's go get it.
At least in the books, Jon's specific purpose is that Ramsay threatened his life. I'm going there. Like, none of you guys have to break your vow.
Yeah. That's a whole different thing. The books. I thought we were still talking about the show, but the books, it's a whole different thing. But in the show, I sort of like I see the show as a hybrid. I'm like, Jon's got a vendetta against Ramsay.
Even on the outside scene, I don't necessarily think he blew her off. She's like, we need more men. And he's like, we don't have any more men. We'll go with the men we have. She could have said right there, that brought up, hey, I have more men. In
the first scene, she was going to, and he walked away from her. So that's why I'm able to like loosen up my analysis of the second scene. Because I just look at it as like a painting. I know it's visual. I don't look at it as realistic. I just look at it as art and what were they trying to tell us? I got it. Boom. The point was that he walks away from her. So that's not a perfectly written scene, but I don't have a problem.
Yeah, if he walks away from her, like why should he listen to her? She's not even willing to stand up to him there. That's the thing that bugs me too. Is like maybe she learned from that situation, but she wouldn't stand up to him there. Like, hey, I have more men if he's gonna walk away. But she will stand up to him in front of all the lords that he's supposed to be in charge of, right? Like all the people that he is now the king of, she's going to argue with him in front of them.
Well, the first time she did that, that was season 6, right? Or sorry, season 7, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
because she's talking about giving the
when he's going south or whatever. The first time she did that, I got on her case. I think I made a video and I was like, how dare she? Like, because I was thinking in terms like me being at my old corporate job. It's like you just don't kind of step on your boss's toes in public. You do that behind the scenes. However, I think I was totally wrong because John wanted that open counsel. So he put himself in a situation for people to call him out in public.
So, what's up? We got to take a quick pause. We got the one and only one true David Adams saying it is officially his birthday right now. Happy birthday,
it is,
brother.
Well, actually, it might not be as of 7 minutes ago, at least in Eastern Standard Time. So, as I always say, so technically, OTDA Da is the last person we should be wishing happy birthday to, since the birthday comes 364 days from now.
Oh my god.
Leave it to Kevin to put that little twist on it. Over here, we keep it real. Happy birthday, brother. I hope you're having a great one. That is awesome. What's up, Kev? You got so much to say. What the hell did the White Walker symbol mean?
Which symbol?
The one that spun around like it was kind of an eternity symbol.
So I looked at that, and again, I think we're going to get more details in the prequel. I think they are saving it. I still stand by who I think he is. I personally think he was the Night's King up at the wall, and I think that all that, like the stories about the long night, I think it's all BS. I think Brandon the Breaker broke Gestright and killed his human lover. I don't think she was a Night Queen. I think she was a human, and I think the Brandon the Breaker killed his children. So I think it's like you've got the concept that Sam was talking about of the Night King wanting to like erase everything. So by burning Ned Umba at the center of that symbol, it symbolizes burning the Weirwood, or burning history and memory. But I think we'll find out in a couple of years. I think it potentially also relates to directly burning children, because I think the Starks, like his half brother, killed his own children back in the day. But I mean, that's totally tinfoily, but that's what I'm going with.
So you're on the whole Kinslayer thing.
I think that Brandon the Breaker was a Kinslayer. Yeah.
That's insane. What about you, LMR? Do you have any ideas on what that spin spiral symbol meant?
For me, it always reminded me of a galaxy and how it doesn't make any sense, actually, that when you look into it. Like, I'm very much into sci-fi and stuff. Not sci-fi. Why am I saying sci-fi? Science Channel. I keep saying sci-fi. Where if you look at a galaxy, the way it's spiral galaxies, technically, according to science, like when you look at it, it's not supposed to even exist. It's supposed to spiral out of, like, the arms with the speed and whatnot. It's supposed to be out, but something is holding it together. So it's like a huge mystery in science, in a way. Why is it all like a disc? Why doesn't it all fly away? Looking at all the calculations. So when I thought about that symbol, to me, I thought it as of it as a huge mystery, and apparently it remained a history in the show. Like, there's no explanation for it and why it exists, but it's in a way, it's like a reminder. Like, if you see in nature, there are spirals everywhere. It's like it repeats everywhere in nature. So I'm thinking, again, I'm hoping for it to be explained more in the books, or actually be explained in the books, like it wasn't explained on the show at all. But for it to be something that has to do with balance in nature, and that things just work out somehow, that nature takes care of stuff, but that would have to involve more of a explanation, or more emphasis on the actual long night and the battle that only took 1 episode for us. I'm hoping there's going to be more to it, definitely.
I'm thinking that it's like on True Detective, where they're like, time is a flat circle. We just keep going and doing the same thing over and over again. How many times have we done this one thing? Well, like, you'll never know because you don't remember. But it's like we've been kind of saying, like, I think it's representative of like the Night's King story in a way, like where there's like a new one and then humanity destroys it, but then there becomes a new one and humanity destroys it. And it's like this thing, because it's like we've been saying for a long time, if there's books, if this happened 2,000 years ago, and there's books from 2,000 years ago that had a story about this happening, that couldn't happen. Like, it couldn't be the case unless it's happened even before like the long night 2,000 years ago, right? So it's this thing that's perpetual. It just keeps happening. And what LMR was talking about, that's called the Fibonacci sequence.
Oh yeah.
That spiral. And in galaxies, generally, they think that it's a black hole in the middle, and that there's so much mass, like there's not enough escape velocity for like the things circling around the galaxy. So they generally believe that there's a black hole in the center of every galaxy.
Actually, they actually right now that they said something about the dark energy and dark part, something that is basically there's more of it than of the stuff that we can actually see and measure visually. Dark matter or something. There are two different things that says something like that. Yeah,
that's the acceleration of the universe. That's what they think. Why they believe that things are accelerating rather than
slowing down. Yeah, I love that.
It's still expanding.
Don't get me too far into it.
I know. I can jump in there.
Let me give a shout out. Who was this? Damn it. I think it was Jenny. So I missed something. The main takeaway of the symbol that you asked about, DJ11, is that it's in the shape. It kind of looks like Targaryen, but it's in the shape of the rocks around the werewood tree where he was created. So it's kind of like a big FU kind of to humans. Like,
it's just a big FU symbol.
Like look what you guys freaking did to me. Like,
I think it's just like eternity. Like we're going to keep sprawling out to infinity until we take over everything. I got that kind of feeling.
Oh, I see. The symbolic interpretation.
Yeah. We got Phoenix Rising asking, is Brandon Rivers inside Bran? Has he been running the show the whole time?
There is no Brandon Rivers.
There is no Brandon Rivers. Well, all right, we'll stick with Kev on this one because that kind of takes me to my next question.
No, I'm being
he's being facetious. Brendan.
Facetious. It's Brendan.
Oh, Brendan, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I got you.
All right.
But Eder tells Bran, a madman sees what he sees. How do we know that Bran didn't just go mad and start making most of that stuff up? I mean, really, a man in a tree, children of the forest who have supposedly been dead for thousands of years? How do we know after that long-ass trip with no food and water that they just weren't hallucinating and maybe ate some bad berries or some shit? How do we know all that shit Bran said wasn't bullshit?
Wait, I'm confused. Are you skipping Phoenix's question?
Well, that's all kind of part of the same thing. Can you repeat what you were going off? Say this thing again.
I didn't get how they connected. Sorry, I'm slow.
It's all right. So we'll go easy then. So Phoenix asked, is B Rivers inside Bran, and has he been running the show the whole time?
Okay. What was your other bit though? Say your other bit. Maybe I'll get it this time.
All right. Eder tells Bran, a madman sees what he sees. How do we know that Bran didn't just go mad and makes most of the stuff up? So I'm basically saying, how do we know that he ever even ran into B Rivers? Maybe he was hallucinating and just started making all this shit up.
We literally saw him with Brendan Rivers, and
we saw that, but that could just be us seeing through his eyes, his hallucination.
Okay, now, I mean, I can't really argue that, but I mean, come on, bro. Like Jojen was there, Mira was there, but you're saying it's all from Bran's perspective. So
we were seeing it from his point of view. He's the one that went mad and ate the crazy berries. So we saw that whole trip through his eyes.
What are you? At which point does he trip? Because we do see out of Summer's eyes at one point, at least in the show.
At Summer's eyes, he was just hunting, though. That could have just been Summer.
Did we never see humans out of Summer's eyes? I thought we did.
Yeah, at the tower. When Jon Snow and the wildlings were there.
Oh, Queen's Crown. But what about in the woods? No, I guess not. I don't know.
We saw the babe that he went through.
I'll leave this to the other guys.
I'm not saying that he's I'm not saying that he's not a warg. I'm just saying about the part about running into Bloodraven and becoming the new Bloodraven.
I'm going to go with yes and no. Like, yes and no, like Bloodraven's controlling him in a way, but like it's Bloodraven. It's Brendan Rivers, but really it's not Brendan Rivers. Like, I think the same thing happened to Brendan Rivers that's happened to Bran. I said this on a couple streams back, but we're just like an amalgamation of our memories that created neural pathways that make us make decisions. And we're aware of ourselves, so we can see how our thoughts go, or generally we can somewhat see how our thoughts go in our head. So, but our memories are what make us who we are. They kind of form the path we travel. Well, Bran is still there, but now he's also Brendan Rivers, and Blood Raven. It's all in there. Once you have so many memories, he has so many more memories now than he had as Bran, that's what he means by I'm not Bran anymore. Bran's still there. He still has all Bran's memories, but his brain has changed in a way because now he has all these other memories and they inform the decisions he makes. So that same thing happened to Brendan Rivers. So in a way, yes, he gains Brendan Rivers as well because Brendan Rivers now becomes a part of this like hive mind, I guess. It's not even a hive mind, but it's like this collective of memories. So now whatever that collective memories, like this computer essentially decides is what should happen, that's what happens. Like that happened to Brendan Rivers. He has a computer in his head, and this computer says, you don't have any more emotions because that makes up such a small part of who you were, your emotions and stuff. So now with all these other memories, it's even less percentage of who you are. So now you have this computer making all these decisions. Now Bran downloaded that program into his head, and he's not Bran. Like he's just a whole bunch of extra memories. And I made that way too complicated, but I hope that I said it in a way.
I'm totally
That makes sense.
So I made a video a long time ago on this, DJ. So here's sort of the heart of the question. I think comes down to like Bloodraven or Brendan Bloodraven telling Bran, like you must become me. And people wonder if he did some sort of word transfer and is he really controlling? I don't buy that. I think even though you kind of alluded to that a little bit, I think I'm more on the page of what you were just saying in terms of it's basically math, right? Like Brendan Rivers is stuck to a tree, so he can't continue after knowing the Night King's coming. He's going to die. He's going to get killed. Brendan Rivers, it's like he's got his own emotions and memories, and then he doesn't have the emotions per se of other people. Like if you work someone, then you can have the emotions in that moment or whatever. But he has memories, like visual memories of this tree, this rock, that tree, Jamie, Davos, like whoever you look through. So it's just like it's a math equation. Like you start off with just Bran over Bran, and that's Bran is Bran because 1 over 1 is 1. But then when you add Jamie, it's like, whoa, who Bran was is half of who the three-eyed raven is. Now you add in Cersei, and it's like, oh, Bran is only a third of, and you keep doing that out to the more memories he has. Ultimately, the numerator, who Bran was at the start, is Bran, but that denominator just keeps getting bigger out to infinity, and you effectively become 0. It never actually hits 0, like you were saying. Bran is still always in there, but effectively the percentage of the three-eyed raven that is Bran is 0 as you get more and more memories.
Nice.
1 divided by infinity equals 0. Technically, it's not.
Yeah.
LMR, as a writer, do you think we can really be mad at D&D? I mean, George hasn't even been able to come up with the ending for this story. He doesn't even know where he wants to take it.
Disagree with that. He says he knows where he wants it to go. He
says, but he sure as hell hasn't put it down on paper for us to
He's putting it down. My man's writing a piece of art. I love when
like a letter a day. A letter a day to paper. So I'm just saying, do you deserve all the hate that they've gotten this season about people going off on them with shitty endings and leaving storylines open and all this when the original creator couldn't even get it done?
He technically sold the rights through it, right? So in a way, that was very brave of him. I guess brave, and he has a bunch of money, and if he wasn't brave, he can cope with it different ways. But once you give it away to somebody to do with as they please, then you kind of forfeit your rights to it. And he in a way did. The way I look at it, and I keep saying it over and over, it's gonna maybe click to some people got what I was saying, some people agreed with me, slightly at least. George wrote his book, his story, his world, and now there are two people who are in charge of interpreting it their way. They're reading his books, and I call it, and maybe that's a wrong word for it, they're writing their fan fiction. That's maybe kind of harsh, but they're interpreting his books the way they see it. They, like you and I, let's say we read the same book and we may have different emotions about it. We may pick up on different things. Different things will speak to us. We see different things if we read the same book. So these are the two people that read the book, and they saw it going this way. And I'm assuming at the end towards season 8, yeah, they're missing a couple episodes for sure. I cannot argue with that. And for whatever reason, instead of it being, let's say, even an extra season, or if not that, giving it 2-4 more episodes, obviously that would make it much better. That would have made it much better. But whatever it was, they agreed, everybody agreed, and there were 6 episodes, and within those 6 episodes, I think they did a good job, meaning they could have done it better. Of course they could have done it better, because if, look at us, we have all these suggestions and it's just us, but it is so difficult when you have too many cooks in a kitchen. It's not the best thing, and there were only 2 people, they had to agree on something. I'm just wondering if they were listening to others or if it was just their interpretation of it. And I truly don't mind it. Obviously, if they effed up my story, I would be like, don't do that with my baby. That's my baby. Why are you destroying it? Because it's me as a writer. But for people, they should remember that this is not a literal thing from the book. I don't think it ever was. Even there were scenes in the book, and the writers took a different direction. And I keep saying that scene with Danny's marriage. In the show, it looked like she was raped. On the book, she was not raped. There's a different way they took it from the beginning, and there were more scenes in it that were different. So I started on as a show watcher and ended up loving the books because they were different. And it's just basically, I call it fan fiction. It's a bad word for it, but I see it as their interpretation. They did great. They did fine. They never stuck to the book exactly. Never did. There was never doubt in my mind, like up until whatever season 5, that everything was by the book. No, it wasn't, and that's what I liked about it. That it gave me an idea of where they want to take it, and I always separated it too. And I never minded it. Actually, I don't mind it that I'm gonna have a different storyline. Maybe it's going to end the same way. I wouldn't mind if it ended differently. I'm going to get 2 endings. Heck, I love that. I want to have 2 different endings. I would actually love it. Why not? I get 2 stories from the same thing. So
I'm with you.
So I really don't mind it. With 6 seasons, they did. I mean, with 6 episodes, they did great. With all the pressure and them being tired. I mean, look at it. They were here for so many years. Yeah, they were ready to go. I would be ready to go. I'm like, let's just do it in a quick. Let's hand out notebooks and fill it in a notebook. Like, guess, this is the story. Fill it in. So they did great. I mean, they're just human. They're humans, and I seriously don't. My imagination is huge, and I can connect the dots, and I don't get angry at them because, yeah, it doesn't make sense that there was a boat hidden. But to me, it doesn't. I don't care. There's dragons. There's fire. There's violence. I skip through all the logic that may be missing, and I just enjoy the show for what it is, which is entertaining the heck out of me. And obviously, I see the things that are wrong with it, but I choose not to dwell on it because it's a story, and I don't want to dissect it. A fantasy, it's like it doesn't have to make sense to me. It's as long as I'm like I can connect the dots and like, yeah, there must have been a big rock to hide all that crap, and maybe there was. Maybe I didn't see it. I'm just entertained. I loved it. I want to be. Yeah, I'm not here to bash the show because it entertained the heck out of me. And yeah, if I were to put on my working hat from what I do at work, yeah, there would be a lot of red lines and a lot of like, do it over. But I'm not. I'm here to have fun, and I don't care if it doesn't make sense. Because I'm able to look past it, and I know I'm gonna get books, and books are gonna be hopefully different, and the writer George will have countless pages to write all of it, to take us through Danny's perspective, to take us through John's, well, if John gets his POV, to take us through John's perspective. I'm getting it in the books, and I'm fine with it. I can wait for that. Anyway, it took more than 3 minutes. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's awesome.
I can something you said, and that like made me think. Doesn't it, after this, like they agreed upon how long it was going to be, right? And just like George in the beginning, he's like, that he has the number of books that he's going to do set out. Doesn't it just like enforce now that it was getting the last season, he was telling them you should probably do another season or two to wrap this up. And they were like, no, this is what we're going to do. Doesn't that basically confirm that there's going to be at least 3 more books? Like, I would say that there's definitely going to be 3 more books after this, because he gets to see how this ended for them. And he's aware that their rigidity in the time frame of how long they wanted the show to be was detrimental to the overall quality of it.
I think you're spot on with 3 books.
So
maybe 4. I think 3.
But he doesn't have time, though.
He recently said 2 1,500-page books, but I think it's going to be 3.
It almost has to be, but will he be around to even finish 3? I mean, does he have 3 in him? Does he have 1 in him?
This is a topic I'm going to check out of. I just don't think it's cool all to talk about someone's death. It's a human being, man.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Like, I get the whole, and that's such a popular thing, so it's almost like we're numb to talking about it, but this is a human being. I just don't, You guys,
and I've always been on the tip that, Grimm's not your bitch. He'll get to it when he gets to it, and if you're lucky enough to read it, you're lucky enough to read it. In my opinion, does he finish this story?
I think the story is already sketched out. He has so many people. I think from what I heard, he has people who help him with it. So again, probably, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard somewhere that he said the story just in case that somebody knows how it ends. Or how he wants it to end. And as far as rushing the author, you never want to rush the author because they're just going to get ticked off. That's not helping with anything. I tell him, take your sweet time, dude. Like, I can wait for that. I have other stuff. Like, I can wait, and I'll just deliver me the piece that is worthy of your name and my expectations. And just, seriously.
But you have 20 years, does he?
Well, the thing is he did say, like, a long time ago that once he gets his story completely mapped out, he gets bored and tired of writing, which makes sense. If you're like a writer and you're excited about where the characters are going and you're like just seeing where it takes you, which is kind of what he did early. Like, you can kind of tell maybe he had an idea for a character, but their actions were changing. And he's like, well, that doesn't make sense where that's going. Well, he said that, like, once he gets mapped out, like everything mapped out in his story, he kind of gets bored with writing it. That it takes him longer because he's not so engrossed in the story. I think he said that like 5 years ago or something. So that's probably not helping things go along very quickly.
Nice. Well, that is definitely why I wanted to put this panel together tonight, because everybody here has stayed very extremely, basically 100% positive the entire time. I mean, we try to call out little flaws here and there, but for the most part, we all absolutely love the story, are thankful for the story and the community that brought us all together and gave us this opportunity to make videos, hang out, and just have a good time with something we all enjoy so much. So I really can't be mad at it. There's definitely a ton of things I'd like to change and switch up, but I mean, it is what it is. It's the story, it's what we got, and I mean, that's what it's going to be. We always have the books to look forward to, and I'm with LMR. It's like years ago, I just shut off, and I was like, I turned the logic in my brain off and just started enjoying watching dragons rip through the sky, and it was awesome. And if you can do that, it's been great. So, no complaints. But can it be better? Or I'm not quite as positive as our man Kev over there. I can't say that it was like perfect and awesome, and I thought it was the greatest ever. I'm not quite there, but I appreciate it for what it was, and you don't hear too many more complaints.
Bro, you said something that I really admire and love. You said that you're thankful for what he's given us. I just absolutely love when people say that, because I feel the same way. I think all of us deep down feel the same way. But again, I'll take it to the extreme, and I'll say that if he never penned another or never put out another book, I don't really care. I would still reread these books over and over, like dozens of times over the course of my life, because I'm a journey before destination. Like, I just there are subplots that have come and gone and ended. I don't even need an ending to the story to enjoy what he's given us so far. I just love these characters, and I love what's already happened.
I'm kind of with him, except for a different reason. It's like, I'm a quitter. Like, if something starts getting bad, generally I'll quit on it. Like, we've been over this before. The sheer number of shows that I've stopped watching is like astronomical. There's just so many shows that once I start losing interest. So I'm honestly, I think that it would almost be People hate me for this, but it would almost be fun if he never finished it, but then someone else finished it for him, right? And then everybody in their own head could say, that's not how George would have finished it, and he would have finished it like I believe he finished it. And so people would have all have their own canon in their head, and I think that would kind of be fun. This community could continue forever with everybody's own head canon.
That's what happened.
Thank you. I love it. I love what you just said. That this is sorry, Kev. Go ahead. I interrupted you.
You go.
Okay. So that's the thing about. I think I was saying that before the season started. I was saying like, oh, until the last thing airs, until we know how it ends in the show, we have all these endings in our mind. I mean, at least in my mind, it's like they're like rolling. Somebody says this is gonna end this way. I'm like, yay! It's gonna end this way. I'm like, super. No, it's gonna end this way. I'm like, I love it. Give me more. So all these endings, I already lived through them in a way in my head. So like, for it to never end, they don't have to ever die. Like, please, George, finish the book. But seriously, like if it takes him forever, those endings are still gonna be here. I can imagine anything he can do because he can change it completely from how it was in the show, and I'll be fine with it. Obviously, I want it to finish. I'm not a quitter, by the way. I am the one who will like see it until it's dead. If like, I'll would prefer to, for him to finish it. But if he doesn't, or if he takes a long time, it's gonna be forever the story that basically never ends because it's gonna go on, forever in our minds. So awesome stuff, Andy. Go ahead, Kev.
What's funny, Peter Griffin mentioned, said, my OCD won't allow me to quit. Even it's nails on a chalkboard, I'll still finish it. That's funny because when you said about quitting shows, like I give you a lot of respect for that because so many of us, like, do you find it hard to quit a show? For me, I ended up quitting Walking Dead, but it took me like a season to quit where I just wasn't enjoying it a whole season, you know what I mean? But
it's tough.
Once you're invested, it's so hard to stop.
Well, mine generally is when stuff stops making logical sense, which kind of like gets me not into shows that people were really into, like The Shield. I think The Shield's too over the top for me, and it doesn't make a lot of logical sense, so I can't get real invested. There's one, Weeds is a big one that like my wife loved, and Mad Men. I didn't finish Mad Men because it stops making sense. And if I can't logically piece together like why someone would do something in their character, if like all before that, I'm like, oh yeah, this character, that makes sense that they would do that. That makes sense that they would do that. And then in a season, they stop doing that and it doesn't get explained. Or if a bunch of characters start to lose like how they behave in general, I'll just say, well, it's just not for me. Like it's kind of jump the shark. I'll make up my own ending in my head. And I'm perfectly fine with that. And my wife hates it. She hates it.
I did that with Mad Men. I think I did like 1 or 1.5 seasons. And then Weeds, I can't remember. I may have finished Weeds. I just really like that girl. But I think it was one of those ones where I debated stopping. Because
Weeds, I had to stop
so
that one. That's
different
a good one. That's a good one. I had to stop watching that one. Quantico and Blind Spot were my two I had to quit watching. But yeah, we're definitely we're gonna keep it going, and that's the beauty of this. We got all this stuff that we can still talk about because all these loose ends and open story plots that they didn't finish up, we can just get back on here and finish up for them and tell them what we thought or how we would have finished it up or what we thought. So I got a few more ideas about things coming up. We're still gonna be coming on every single Tuesday just to keep the Thrones alive, and we're gonna keep going until we're tired of it. So I hope you guys don't get tired of it and keep on coming back. I definitely want to thank my co-host that came out the first time ever, LMR. Thank you so much for being here. You got anything else coming up for the rest of the week that you're going to be doing?
Yeah, actually, we are. Maria and I were going to be doing our regular weekly topic. I think we're discussing characters in general right now. So I think Thursday, around 7:30 or 7 Central, we're going to be on my channel this week. And after that, we're switching to Marie's channel. So yeah, thank you. And by the way, of course, thank you for having me. This was such a I love impromptu stuff. I was like already ready for bed. I'm like, yeah, my PJs. And then a text, I'm like, I'm on, dude. Like, I love it. I feel like we've known each other forever, but this is the first time we're streaming. But this is what I love about people that I click with. It feels like I've known you my entire life. So thank you. It's been an awesome pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, the pleasure was definitely all mine. I'm so glad you could come on and absolutely feel the same way. It's like all these guys, it's like just been texting and talking to and never even been on with before, but it seems like I've known them forever and just old time friends. So glad and looking forward to all the good times to come. What's up, Andy? You got anything going on for the rest of the week? What are you going to be getting into?
Probably not. I'll probably just be playing video games until until next week, when inevitably you'll message me and say, "Hey, you ready to go in an hour or so?" But yeah, that's about it. I really appreciate you having me on, and everybody, like, this whole season and our Westworld and shit, especially with me dragging conversations the other direction. And you're always there to reel me back in. So I think we make a good team of that. It's fun streaming with Bridge here and stuff because he's kind of crazy like that too. So now you got a big fish that you got to reel back in because it's going hard. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. That's awesome. So great. Love having it. We're definitely going to have to get this panel back on and keep it going because everybody's got the great point of views and LMR there to bring back all the craziness just a little bit until she's like, nope, it's time for me to go crazy too. And then she starts bringing her own tinfoil and we're going to be going way off the deep end. I can see it now. What's up, Kev? What do you got going on for the rest of the week?
So, dude, I don't know if I told you this. Like, now YouTube actually considers me like a real YouTuber. I've got an advisor. I've gone to like 2 full-day conventions, Thursday, Friday. I'm going to show up dressed like a madman because I got a Pentatonics concert Thursday night and a Rachel Platten, fight song. But I've got 1 Witcher video done, 4 scripted. I've been working on a hard pet project with Game of Thrones. I've been working on that for a while. Everyone's going to hate it. I love it. I don't know. I love life. I love all of you, and I'll be in touch.
Nice. Thank you all so much for being here in the chat. I saw so many new faces out there. Welcome down the rabbit hole. This is what we do each and every Tuesday night. So glad you guys can make it. Hope you can make it back next Tuesday night. Every once in a while, we'll get some impromptus in off of that, but we will certainly be back here each and every Tuesday right around between 6 and 7. So I hope to see everybody next week. And until that time, everybody have an absolutely fantastic week. Oh, go ahead, Andy. What do you got?
Who still needs their address sent in?
Good. Yeah, I said that earlier, but let's bring that in. Let's see. We have the winners of the Survivor Pool. Thank you so much.
Good call.
The Imagination Realm. She's not here tonight. We got JD we can get a hold of. So we got Jenny, and Peter Griffin, and Nancy already got. So I think it's just.
Did Phoenix do it or didn't? No.
Phoenix. Do we have her for the? Oh, Phoenix was the one. She didn't get the last one in, but nobody died, so she kind of won by default.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's right. I was looking. Why she only have 3 on here? So yeah, she no matter who she picked, she would have won. So yeah, we got Phoenix, Phoenix, Peter Griffin, Jenny, and the Imagination Realm. So get at us. Either get to me or Andy. Get us your mailing information, and we'll get those gifts out to you. I already got all the other ones sent out. So yeah, got some stuff waiting for you. You guys all won. Got some cool gifts for you. So let us know, and we'll get those out to you.
And thank you for having me on. I didn't say that. Sorry. I'm so rude.
That's all right. Oh,
but you still have a title. Oh.
Yeah, you got a title, so you take what you can around here. Oh, thanks so much, everybody, for being here. Like I said, we're going to be back again for sure next Tuesday, maybe before that. So everybody have an absolutely fantastic week. And until we see you next time, game on.